You want to die? Do you want to die? Use your blood essence. As soon as Azure Dragon's words fell, two huge green eyes looked at Long Fei. Tell the truth. Long Fei did not believe the Azure Dragon in front of him. His guard was heavy, and this Azure Dragon was somewhat different from the Azure Dragon in his memories. Very special. Then there was that huge coffin. Why did he have to use his own blood essence to open it? What was his blood essence hiding? What was hidden in this coffin? Long Fei was a little hesitant as he asked, "Why do you need my blood essence?" The green dragon was still as calm as before. "There's no reason why. Just do as I say." There was no ripple in his eyes. Long Fei subconsciously took a step back and shook his head. "I can open it if you want, but at least you have to let me know what's inside, right?" During this time, Long Fei checked the system. The underworld fire had finished cooling. The 10-story Devil Tower had finished cooling down, but he couldn't summon it here. And only underworld fire. However, there was no boss aura shining from the gigantic green dragon's body. Long Fei was not sure if it was actually the boss. But there was one thing that made Long Fei excited. He had never killed a dragon before, so what would happen if he killed it? Long Fei secretly clenched his fists. The Azure Dragon's pupils slightly moved as he said, "You want to know what is inside? Only by undoing it will you know. If you want me to tell you, I don't know either." Long Fei said, "If you don't say it, I won't open it. Either you tell me what is inside the coffin, or you tell me why is it my blood essence that can open it. These two issues must be clarified." The Azure Dragon hesitated for a moment before saying, "All right, I can tell you the answer to the next question." Long Fei looked at the green dragon and said, "Please speak." The Azure Dragon said, "Because you are the chosen one and the heavens have chosen you, you are also the only place that has been able to enter in the past billions of years. Therefore, only your blood essence is able to open it." "That's it. The chosen one." Long Fei muttered in his heart he was the chosen one. It's not a lie, but he's the chosen one of the 10-story Devil Tower. How did he suddenly become the chosen one of the heavens? Long Fei became more and more suspicious. The green dragon somewhat impatiently said, "Can you release your blood essence to open it now?" His gaze did not allow Long Fei to continue messing around. Long Fei nodded and said, "Of course." Long Fei leapt up heavily, landing on the coffin. His fingers moved slightly as if he was brewing, but his eyes were fixed on the lines on the coffin. The lines were like chains. In his previous life, he had seen plenty of zombie movies, especially Uncle Sue's. This coffin, he had never seen it before, but the runic seal chains told him that there was definitely something extraordinary locked up inside. Once it was released, his little life would probably be gone. If he didn't release it, the green dragon might not let him go. A dilemma? Just as Long Fei was hesitating, the green dragon spoke again with a faint voice. "Hurry up." Long Fei said, "Don't be anxious. I need to use my purest blood essence, and I need some time to brew it." The Azure Dragon concealed itself very well, but he couldn't wait to immediately open the sarcophagus. Long Fei noticed that the chains on the coffin were only placed on the body of the green dragon, and it didn't feel comfortable at all. He could break away from the chains at any time. And with that, there was no possibility of the chain with the seal green dragon. The Azure Dragon had only one reason to be impatient. Something in the coffin. Huff! Long Fei's mind flew. Looking at the runes on the coffin, he asked himself, "What is inside? Should I release it?" A minute passed. The green dragon's eyes widened slightly as he said, "It's not ready yet." Long Fei chuckled and said, "All right, it's almost done." Zhang Xian's finger moved slightly. At this time, a drop of bright, red liquid floated up from the tip of his finger. The green dragon's eyes immediately contracted, and a green light flashed out of them as it stared fixedly at the blood essence floating up from Long Fei's fingertips. He was very excited. From the looks of it, he was very excited. Even if he tried his best to conceal it, Long Fei could tell. Long Fei was secretly shocked. No matter what, let's give it a try first. Just as Long Fei was about to drip his blood essence onto the coffin, the idea moved. The green dragon's eyes narrowed. His green eyes instantly flashed with a trace of anger. Next, the azure dragon heavily said, "Stop wasting my breath and quickly drip your blood essence onto it." Anger could not be quelled. Long Fei's heart sank as he thought, "It seems like he isn't the green dragon ancestor that I remember." And then Long Fei squinted, looked at the enormous green dragon, and asked, "Who exactly are you? Do you think I will completely believe you just because you turned into a green dragon ancestor?" "Green dragon ancestor? Humph! What's that? As for who I am..." The green dragon's eyes also slowly became ice cold. The temperature of the surrounding area plummeted. The moisture in the air seemed to freeze over as it made creaking sounds. The azure dragon coldly looked at Long Fei and said, "I am the azure dragon, the supreme azure dragon. Kid, hurry up and use your blood essence to open it. If you don't open it now, you'll lose your life later." The azure dragon's tone was as cold as ice. He lost patience. Dragons were the most impatient. Moreover, his temper was exceptionally bad. The green dragon was already very irritable. If not for needing to use the blood essence from Long Fei's body, he would have made his move long ago. The corner of Long Fei's mouth lifted slightly and smiled. "Since you're so impatient, then I shouldn't have opened it even more." The azure dragon's eyes suddenly narrowed, and its fierce gaze directly turned into the might of a dragon. Rumble! 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 A thunderous sound exploded in the air as the dragon's might was released. The entire dark world seemed to be intensely shrinking as an unprecedented pressure pressed towards Long Fei. It came from all directions. It was like the roar of 10,000 dragons. It was a crushing pressure that caused the sea of consciousness to tremble and crack. It was extremely uncomfortable. But not all of them fell, but numerous dragons encircled in front of Long Fei. The azure dragon coldly said, "Brat, do you want to die? As long as I am an idea, you will be crushed into dust. Now, I just want to ask you, do you want to die? If you don't want to, then do as I say. Hurry up." His voice was gloomy and filled with boundless rage. Was very unhappy. The attack he hated the most was coercion, and hated people who used their levels to crush him the most. The azure dragon is amazing, right? Azure dragon can be arrogant, right? F***CK. Long Fei burst out in vulgarities and said straightforwardly, Your father will not allow you to act so arrogantly in front of me." Chapter 2659, Underworld Fire Damage to the Extremely Low Level. Chapter 2659, Underworld Fire Damage to the Extremely Low Level. So, what if you're a dragon? A dragon needs to kneel and lick? What does the dragon tell you to do? It's not a dragon, it's your father. Long Fei didn't know what the Chosen One was, or what kind of power his blood essence contained, but asking him to use his blood essence to open an extremely dangerous coffin for no reason at all. "I'm sorry, but I'm not an idiot. I can't do that." Dragon power crushed down. The dragon's roar raged. Long Fei's mind received a huge impact, and it could even be said that his body was splitting apart. This also caused the anger in Long Fei's heart to suddenly explode. He felt a little displeased. "Like you said, only my blood essence can open this coffin, right? In that case, just keep AF** King low profile and show off to who? Dragon might crushed me? F***CK. Long Fei let out a loud shout and changed the sound. The underworld fire moved. Buzz. The palm of his left hand suddenly began to burn. He exploded forth with his strength. Wild God energy, explode. Boom. After stabilizing his mind and breaking through the restrictions, Long Fei leaped into the air. The underworld fire in his hands smashed down onto the head of the green dragon, right in the middle of the two dragon horns. The power of the Ming clan's inheritance surged. The green dragon's injury, but it was turned malevolent as he coldly said, "This kind of damage's only use was to let Long Fei clearly see the health value of the green azure dragon's body quickly began to revolve, and the friction between the scales made an ear-piercing, rustling sound. Seeing Long Fei's palm strike come smashing down, the azure dragon's huge tail suddenly flipped. This kind of HP in the black world. At the beginning, a black fog came crushing down like Sky Envoy was the ultimate boss of the Zhenwu continent because he was the super powerhouse that the universal realm came from, and immediately the golden armor at the same time appeared. His underworld fire was also released. Thought that he was the ultimate boss. Seeing that, the green dragon moved his tail. The health of the Sky Envoy and Golden Armor Elder were like dregs that Long Fei was spitting out. Of this green he didn't use his giant tail. Long Fei's heart sank even Instead, more. He used a surge of power to lift the blood in the air. Cannot be summoned. The fresh blood and with my Emperor Jinwu's realm the green dragon's eyes flashed with a bright light as it became somewhat excited. A completely indestructible existence. Raising his head to look at the dark sky, even if he stood there and asked me to kill him for his own blood essence, I still wouldn't be able to kill him. Coffin. What was the most helpless thing dropped down? Seeing the boss die left him dripped onto the coffin. What made him even more helpless, the coffin began to shake. He wouldn't be able to kill the boss. The azure dragon's pupils constricted. This wasn't helplessness. Incomparably this nervous. Was F***. At the same time, hopeless. He was incomparably this was exactly the mood that Long Fei was as in he right completely now. Ignored the Long Fei with a boss that had over 100 billion HP. Long Fei's underworld fire exploded the damage above his head. Wasn't the even damage as good as that floated upwards. How did he die? Was also earlier when his tail swayed. 1 inch. He was unable to withstand it and was flipped over in an instant. But now. His own blood was spurting out if he still managed to release the seal on the coffin, and the azure dragon received an even stronger power. Then Long Fei would not be able to live. At this moment, the key point was on the seal's coffin. Long Fei stared at the huge coffin. He really wanted to know what was inside. Obviously, the azure dragon was incomparably excited. The coffin shook violently. Boom. Boom, boom. The entire dark world began to tremble. The green dragon's eyes were full of reverence and excitement as he stared at the coffin. Bam! A loud sound echoed out. The seal rune chain on the coffin shattered. The coffin trembled even more violently. It was as if there was a huge monster inside that could charge out at any time. However, at this moment, the coffin suddenly stopped jumping and returned to its previous quiet state. The rune chains that cracked a second ago also quickly formed in that instant. It had reformed. Furthermore, the power of the seal was getting denser, tightly locking the coffin and the seal. What's going on? The azure dragon's pupils abruptly contracted, and the strands of black hair in the green pupils began to burn like flames. Both of his eyes fiercely glared and stared at Long Fei, who was still falling, and squinted his eyes. The enormous tail swept out. Chapter 2660, Master, Holy Dragon Emperor. Chapter 2660, Master, Holy Dragon Emperor. If one time was not enough, then he would do it twice. 2 times won't do. Then just release all the blood in your body. Long Fei was just like a puppet now. The azure dragon could do whatever it wanted. He didn't even have a chance to resist. Uffed. Another mouthful of blood sprayed out. Blood dripped down, and the coffin trembled. But still not working, still not working. Again. Uffed. Another stream of power struck Long Fei's heart meridian and caused a stream of blood to spurt out from Long Fei's heart. It was then used to support the drop of blood that dripped onto the coffin. Boom, boom, boom. Another series of intense tremors. No, still not good enough. Dozens of attempts had failed. The green dragon's brows were knitted tightly. He looked at the coffin held by the chains and said, "Impossible, absolutely impossible. There's absolutely no mistake. It's definitely him. But why? Why not? What went wrong? I've waited so many years in this dark world. Why can't I? Why?" The azure dragon was infuriated. The green scales seemed to be burning with green flames. The dragon aura around his body began to burn. The dragon's fury was abnormally turbulent. The green dragon was enraged. And at this moment, Long Fei, anger raged in his heart. Sick. He was extremely displeased. He felt like he was a toy bleeding from its wounds, constantly being manipulated from head to toe. It had never happened before. His face was pale. Long Fei's eyes were sinister. He really couldn't think of a way to crush a gigantic and powerful dragon. But the green dragon had used a force to lift the blood dozens of times. Why? He didn't need a dragon claw or a huge tail to catch it and place it on top of the coffin. What was he in awe of? Or was he afraid of something? Or what was the azure dragon afraid of? My blood essence? F***CK. Long Fei said with a deep voice, with a thought. His fists moved and immediately became stained with his own blood. As the green dragon went crazy from his contemplation, Long Fei threw a punch at it. It was a very ordinary punch. He hadn't even released the power of a true martial great emperor. Long Fei was already heavily injured and was unable to unleash his full strength. However, one punch just like that, it crashed onto the body of the green dragon. In an instant, the flames shot into the sky, and a huge dragon scale directly exploded. The surrounding dozens of dragon scales were all blown away, and a single punch caused the damage. 1,000,000 points of damage floated up above the azure dragon's head. The green dragon's pupils also contracted in an instant. Its body fiercely turned and leapt 100,000 kilometers away as its two green eyes stared fixedly at Long Fei. Long Fei looked at his fist in shock. He was really stupefied. Earlier, when he used the underworld fire, he only dealt a few dozen points of damage. One must know that it was an underworld fire with the power of ancient inheritance. It could easily kill a true martial emperor and his powerhouse. However, it couldn't withstand the universal strike. Isn't this too strange? My blood. It's my blood. Long Fei looked at the fist that was covered in blood and immediately understood what was going on. My blood has great power. Ha ha ha. Long Fei laughed. This was because the green dragon had never dared to touch the blood that he spat out. Only then did Long Fei have the chance to try attacking it. He did not expect to cause such an injury. Ha ha ha. When Long Fei was using his own blood essence to lure a large group of demon beasts, he had already felt that there must have been something hidden in his blood. However, it was impossible to detect after a few tests. From the looks of it, it was not that he could not detect it, but the instruments used to detect it were too low level and could not detect the talon of the blood vein in his blood at all. So, the strongest is my blood? Long Fei's eyes flashed with excitement. Of course, he did not know what his blood vein was, nor did he know what his true identity was. He didn't know what kind of damage his attack would do to the dragons. It was just like when a 3-year-old grandson fought with a master of the divine, immortal stage. One slap could send him flying. The green dragon stared at Long Fei, looked at his own wound, and said in a heavy voice once again, "It's not wrong. It's definitely you. It's definitely you. It's definitely not wrong." Long Fei said, "You're right. That's me. Lousy is here to blow you up." "Humph." The green dragon snorted, staring at Long Fei. "You have been pretending to be a pig. What are you trying to hide?" "My lord, Holy Dragon Emperor." "Master, Holy Dragon Emperor." Long Fei's heart trembled. He thought, did this guy recognize the wrong person? "Holy Dragon Emperor looks very impressive." "Huh?" Long Fei gave a bland laugh. "Sigh, I was still recognized by you. It's impossible for such a handsome person to hide himself, no matter how hard I try. Everywhere he goes. He's like the most dazzling star in the sky. Since you know that I'm Holy Dragon Emperor, then kneel down. What level is Holy Dragon Emperor at? What realm was it?" Long Fei didn't know from the start. However, who cares who he was? If he actually shouted out that name, then maybe Holy Dragon Emperor would be able to shock him. However, what Long Fei did not expect was this. In this instant, the green dragon flipped its body and disappeared. The world of darkness suddenly rolled over, and a gigantic tsunami of dragon aura came crashing over. The green dragon rolled over, and the dragon roared, crazily laughing out loud. "Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! I've waited so many years for you. As expected, everything is fated. Ha ha ha! Everything is fated. You're right. You're right. Everything is fated." The azure dragon laughed maniacally. The boundless dragon's might began to charge crazily towards Long Fei with incomparable power. Long Fei frowned. "Since you know I'm Holy Dragon Emperor, you still dare to make a move?" The green dragon said with a smile, "You're not going to make a move and let you escape again? Do you know how long I've waited for this day? Do you know what price I paid for this day? You don't know. How do you know? Today I will kill you. I want to obtain everything from you. Everything from you is mine." Ha ha ha. The azure dragon had fallen into that kind of madness. At this moment, the boundless might of the dragon also began to revolve. Dragon's might was like a dragon's, raising the dragon's head high. At this moment, just like 10,000 huge dragons rushing towards Long Fei. Pressure? Long Fei could not resist it. His fist had to be close. In the face of such an enormous pressure, the space between Long Fei's eyebrows tightened. This fellow's aura was too fierce, too strong. It was many times stronger than the pressure in Golden Armor Elder. Long Fei shouted in a deep voice, "Damn, this grandson has the guts to use the might of a dragon to suppress you. If you have the guts, then fight me in a melee fight." The azure dragon smiled sinisterly and said, "Do you think I'm stupid? Ha ha ha. Myriad dragon burial heavens. Die." Chapter 2661. Explosive Dragon. Chapter 2661. Explosive Dragon. 10,000 dragons, hidden heavens. Tens of thousands of dragons might immediately condensed into a green dragon, ghosting, blotting out the sky, and covering the earth. A black mass surrounded Long Fei as the azure dragon gave its command. 10,000 dragons fell. Long Fei's eyes darkened. This is bad. He was simply unable to withstand the dragon's might. The levels were completely different. In the face of such an enormous dragon's might, Long Fei couldn't think of anything he could do. It couldn't be stopped. Am I going to die? Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. He gritted his teeth and stared at the dark sky. Am I going to die? Rumble! 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 As the 10,000 dragons smashed down, Long Fei's body felt like it was about to explode when he withstood the first force. Every single pore on his body bled profusely. His internal organs were all churning. His sea of consciousness had ruptured. His entire head felt heavy. The health point above his head was going wild, unable to block it at all. Boom, boom, boom. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The Azure Dragon laughed wildly. I said it before, you will die by my hands. I swore to the heavens that I will definitely kill you. Now you're finally going to die. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. He felt as though he had been injected with chicken blood. Hearing such excitement and mocking laughter, under the dragon tattoo on Long Fei's right arm, a power suddenly moved. At this moment, this power was immediately released from Long Fei's body. At this moment, everything in Long Fei's body calmed down. However, Long Fei was completely unable to feel it, and it seemed as if his body was slowly losing consciousness. That feeling, when Long Fei was in secret area of deep hell, he was killed by the underworld snake, and the anger in his heart occupied his mind. It appeared again. Long Fei forced himself to stay clear-headed. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't. In the end, with his consciousness blurry, he could only feel an incomparably strong power erupting from his right arm. That kind of power was something he had never experienced before. At this moment, the dragon-shaped tattoo moved and rushed into the sky. Roar. The dragon's roar dominated the sky. In an instant, the 10,000 Azure Dragon auras instantly began to crumble, and the entire world of darkness fell silent. Roar. Another dragon roar rang out. The green dragon's face darkened, revealing a painful expression. Its enormous body suddenly exploded, smashing its dragon-shaped tattooed figure into the air. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of space exploding rang out, and it was also constantly exploding. With a flash of golden light, cracks started to wreak havoc, as if they were lightning, and the cracks started to heal in an instant. This world of darkness is a special secret world. Roar, roar, rumble, rumble. This scene did not last long. In the end, the Azure Dragon's body fell from the sky, and blood crazily gushed out from between his eyebrows. It let out a painful dragon's roar. Ah, ah. The Azure Dragon roared in indignation. It was also at this time the dragon-shaped tattoo shadow also charged back into the mark on Long Fei's right arm like lightning. It was extremely weak, and the protective energy around Long Fei's body instantly disappeared as well. Long Fei was also incredibly weak. There was only a tiny bit of HP left on top of his head. A few hundred HP left, and he would be dead in less than half a minute. Faster! Faster! The Azure Dragon's dragon aura has already been suppressed. Now move! A voice sounded from Long Fei's mind. Who are you? Long Fei could not help but ask. There was no response in his mind. The spring of life surged, quickly replenishing Long Fei's health. The one who spoke was him, but he did not have any time to speak at all. If he was any slower, Long Fei would have died. Just now, the pressure from the Azure Dragon's might was still in his body. If he did not protect Long Fei, he would die. No response. Was it that powerful force? At this moment, in that moment of life and death, Long Fei did not have time to think about it. He spat out a mouthful of blood, which directly landed on the sky sword. With a move of his right hand, blood flowed down from his entire right arm onto the sword. Then, Long Fei moved, and instantly landed in front of the incomparably enormous green dragon, and said solemnly, without the dragon's might, I want to see how you're going to suppress this daddy. The sword moved and stabbed down heavily. Ah! The green dragon let out a furious roar. Rumble! A long, bright red health bar floated above his head. The azure dragon let out a blood-curdling screech. Both of his eyes stared heavily, staring straight at Long Fei, flames spitting out of his eyes. He said, "Humph, so what if you pull out my power from the dragon? What can you do? I'll swallow you. I'll refine everything in your body. When the time comes, I can refine your blood essence just the same, and I can open the coffin." It opened its huge dragon mouth. Whoosh! The moment the suction force moved, before Long Fei could react, the green dragon power directly sucked Long Fei into its body. He was too strong. However, Long Fei was actually overjoyed in his heart. "You're courting death." The idea moved. "You want my blood essence, right? Here you go." With a thought, the sky sword cut his right palm. Long Fei controlled the idea on his palm and released his purest blood essence, causing the sky sword to move. Sprinkled on the blade, grasping the hilt of the sword with both hands, he thrust it towards the green dragon's throat. "Come on!" It pierced the green dragon's flesh heavily. At this moment, the huge suction force in the azure dragon's body was still circulating. It was as if he had been injected with chicken blood. Strength. What a powerful strength. The power in this blood essence. Too powerful. Long Fei looked at his own arms, looked at his own chest, and looked at his own naked body. Every place was densely packed with tiny dragon scales. It became a faint flash on the skin. Dragon blood stimulation. Did it stimulate the power in my body? Is the hidden power in my blood essence also the power of the dragon? Dragon blood. Dragon blood battle god. Damn, I've read this novel before. Long Fei muttered. The azure dragon blood essence made him extremely excited, and the originally heavily injured energy in his right arm also began to rapidly recover as the azure dragon blood essence was absorbed. However, it is recovering very slowly. Walala, walala, walala. After a full half an hour, the enormous body of the dragon drained all of its blood essence. Only then did the body of the dragon fall from the sky. Rumble! Rumble! Long Fei's eyes tensed up, seeing such a huge green dragon body. A thought formed in his mind, and with a move of his right hand, he grabbed towards the huge green dragon body. His left hand formed a seal. An enormous power surged out from his body, enveloping the entire body of the green dragon. He heavily shouted, "Withdraw!" The power of the attack enveloped the entire azure dragon and the space ring. It was also at this time that a wallala, bam! The space ring exploded. It couldn't contain the body of the azure dragon at all. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The azure dragon's body cannot be wasted. Blood essence is the most important part of the azure dragon's body. But aside from this, there were too many treasures in the azure dragon's body. The dragon was a treasure trove. He couldn't waste it. Long Fei took out another space ring. Bam! The space ring exploded again. Bam! Another space ring exploded. F***CK. No way. Even if ordinary space ring had enough space, they wouldn't be able to withstand the aura of a dragon. Long Fei's mind tightened. And just when he was helpless, he said, "That's right. There are still over 70 special space ring S in the system space. Is it okay to use them?" Immediately, with a move of Long Fei's power, he took out a god's tribe space ring. The idea moved again and shouted, "Collect it for me!" Rumble! 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 As the enormous green dragon body slowly entered a golden space ring, Long Fei's eyes revealed signs of excitement. This azure dragon's power can be sold at an astronomical price, even if it's just dragon scales. In the future, if you have no money, take out a dragon scale and sell it. Ha ha ha! The identity of this green dragon was extraordinary. If one of his dragon scales could be refined into a profound weapon, then any one of them would be an existence that surpassed holy artifact. Moreover, dragon scales could also be used to seep in alchemy-s, increase in cultivation level. Dragon tendon, dragon valley, dragon feeler, any part of it was like a super treasure. Long Fei would never let this go easily. Buzz. The green dragon was completely absorbed into the space ring, and at this moment, Long Fei was also heavily gasping for breath, his entire body drenched in sweat. I finally put it away. Don't worry about the lack of money in the future. Ha ha ha. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up slightly as he became proud of himself. At this moment, suddenly, a black box from the space ring started to tremble violently. At the same time, the originally dead azure dragon suddenly opened its eyes, revealing a ray of green light. Boom! The black box directly flew into the azure dragon's huge mouth. The wound on the azure dragon's stomach began to slowly heal. The originally transparent azure dragon seemed to come to life as its body slowly entrenched itself. His eyes were closed. There was no expression on his face. His body did not emit any of the aura of a dragon. At this moment, Long Fei clapped his hands. The blood essence all over his body shook slightly, and said with a grin, "There should be system beep here." Ding. Chapter 2663. Berserk. Chapter 2663. Berserk. It didn't matter if the azure dragon was revived or not. It didn't matter if its dragon soul had escaped. But one thing is certain. The azure dragon's body was killed by Long Fei. 100 billion HP was killed by Long Fei. The system sounded out. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Azure Dragon, for obtaining 9999,999,9999 experience points, 99,99999 true chi points, and 100 arrogant god energy value points. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Green Dragon's Might. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Green Dragon Flame. Do you wish to fuse it? Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining... The system beep violently sounded. Ding. Congratulations player Long Fei for killing Azure Dragon. You have received a special reward. You are now rewarded with Supreme Dragon Knife. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Azure Dragon. Ha. Ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei was so excited that he could not control himself. Supreme Dragon Knife? Ha ha ha. Awesome, but why do I feel like I've seen this knife somewhere? Inside the Heaven Slaughtering Dragon's note. That's not right. In a certain game, that's not it either. Long Fei thought about it again. He did not recall where he had seen this blade before, but he was sure of one thing, that even if he had seen Dragon Blade before, they would still not be as powerful as he was now. Weapon, Supreme Dragon Knife Grade. Ultimate Spirit War Device Attributes. Destroy description. Has 1000% critical chance attribute for dragons. Able to crush dragons with their might. Description 2. Introducing the dragon blood allows the blade to generate even more power. Damn. Awesome. Long Fei didn't think about when he saw the dragon blade before. Rather than thinking about it before, it was better to grasp the present and the future. Memories of the past were very important, but no matter how important the memories were, they were only memories. Dragonblood Battle God. This title is awesome. On top of Long Fei's head, there was a blood-red symbol. The dragon bloodline god of war didn't seem to be of much use, but once the dragon blood was released, this title would be able to erupt with power. Fusion of the Azure Dragon's Might. Ding. Fusion complete. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for merging with the might of the Azure Dragon and obtaining the Myriad Dragon Burial Sky pressure skill. Fusion of the Azure Dragon Flame. Ding! Fusion completed. Congratulations to player Long Fei for successfully fusing with the Azure Dragon Flame and obtaining the Azure Dragon Flame. Long Fei had fused everything that he could. After obtaining several secret skills related to the Azure Dragon, these techniques were exceptionally powerful. Because there were still 2 Gods Tribe S remaining in the Xian Yu secret territory, Long Fei was doing his best to become stronger. After fusing all of this, Long Fei let out a light breath as he looked at the dragon blood on his body congealing like a blood armor. Terrible! The blood-colored dragon scales on the surface of his skin disappeared as well. Long Fei clenched both his fists and then moved them. Wang! In his right arm, a surge of power instantly spread throughout his body, and immediately after, Long Fei's entire body turned blood red. It was extremely shocking. Long Fei was shocked himself. Damn, could it be that I just merged with an Azure Dragon blood vein? Azure Dragon! In my memory, there is a green dragon ancestor, and this green dragon... Long Fei was sure that this green dragon was not the green dragon ancestor in his memories, but what was the identity of this green dragon? Long Fei did not know either. In his memories, there had never been a green dragon like this before. The green dragon ancestor in his memory could not even compare to this green dragon, and this green dragon had said before that he had waited here for Long Fei for millions of years. What was he waiting for? Right. Coffin. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, thinking about the huge sarcophagus. It hovered not far away. The chain slipped. She stood there as though she was all alone, quietly looking at Long Fei. Long Fei carefully approached. The runes on the surface of the huge coffin were incomparably dazzling. Who? Long Fei let out a heavy breath. What exactly is inside? Even if Long Fei fused with the green dragon's blood essence now, became stronger, and his strength increased, he still did not dare to recklessly open the coffin because he felt that this coffin was definitely not ordinary. How could something that could make the Azure Dragon wait here for billions of years be simple? He was waiting for Long Fei. The reason they were waiting for Long Fei was to open the coffin. In other words, millions of years of waiting to open the coffin. Then what was inside the coffin? Long Fei really wanted to know, but, however, he did not dare to easily open it. At least, this coffin gave him a feeling of extreme danger, even more so than the huge green dragon. And then, Long Fei moved slightly, took out another God's Tribe space ring, and said, "Collect!" Buzz. The coffin was sucked into the space ring. Crack! The moment the coffin was sucked into the space ring, a crack appeared on the space ring's body. It was unbearable, but after the crack, there was no other sound. Long Fei's mind also relaxed, and he thought to himself, if the green dragon can fit inside, then this coffin will cause the space ring to crack in the blink of an eye. What the hell is inside? However, in the instant that the coffin entered the space ring, the thing inside the space ring was instantly devoured by the coffin. In another place. Chapter 2664, Plane Rupture. Chapter 2664, Plane Rupture, Buzz. The dark world suddenly changed. Boss. Seeing Long Fei, the Transformers immediately rushed over. The big-sized men also saw Long Fei. Boss. Yi Yurong and Yi Lucian also quickly flew over when they saw Long Fei. Long Fei was overjoyed. Is everything all right? Transformers said. It's nothing. When I entered, it was completely dark. I couldn't find anything. There was nothing at all. I continuously flew inside. When I wanted to go out and report it to you, I couldn't find the exit. Transformers scratched his head as he spoke. The big guy also said innocently, I'm the same. Lucien said, this should be a special secret world, where everyone who enters will enter into a world of darkness. But the truth is that everyone is in a different space of secret world. Maybe it was just to wait for someone. While they were talking, Lucien looked at Long Fei. Yurong asked directly, did you see anything when you came in? How can you be like this? Do you see Lord Minglong's coffin? Long Fei looked at his own body and subconsciously blocked with both of his hands. Damn! He was secretly glad that he could not see clearly in the darkness as the color of the blood had turned black. However, Yurong had been standing not far away from Long Fei from the start. With her cultivation, she could easily see 100 meters in the darkness, even if Long Fei was completely covered in blood armor. Yurong looked at the place Long Fei had blocked off, and her face slightly flushed. Long Fei hurriedly turned around and changed his clothes. He then calmed himself down and said, I've met a few demon beasts. There's nothing special about this place. I've long told you that this isn't the necropolis tomb. If it's really this, then this is a huge trap. He didn't say anything about the green dragon. There was no need to say it. As for the azure dragon body, he would bring it out when he needed to use it in the future. At least, this was one of the things Long Fei relied on to enter the universal realm. Lucien said indifferently, then that's strange. How did this happen? The grade of this tomb is very high. Even the Zhenwu continent S would not be able to reach such a level. Lucien had some doubts about Long Fei's words. However, after all, he didn't see anything. Long Fei said, let's not talk about this for now. Let's hurry up and leave. They are worried about us. Right now, they could already see the other side of the exit. If they opened up another layer, they would be able to enter the Xian Yu mountain range and directly avoid the powerhouse of God's tribe's pursuit. Everyone's expression turned cold. He quickly followed Long Fei out of the secret world. When he saw Long Fei walk out of the secret world, Xiao Dai immediately ran forward and threw himself into Long Fei's embrace, saying, Along, you've finally come out. I was so anxious that I died. Gui Qingshan's eyes released a gold light and thought, beautiful. Long Fei lightly patted Xiao Dai's back and said, I'm fine, I'm fine. Didn't I come out already? Xiao Dai took a whiff and asked, Along, what smell do you have on you? Why does it smell a little special? It seems to be the scent of blood. It's so special. It's for dogs. Come here. Xiao Dai immediately thought of Tang Renjia. Actually, when Long Fei came out, Tang Renjia had already smelled it, and he also knew what the smell was. Tang Renjia took a whiff and said, No, I don't smell anything special. If there is, it would be Boss Manly scent. Long Fei looked at Tang Renjia. He did not foolishly know what Tang Renjia had smelled. His nose was sharper than a dog's. How could he not smell something? Tang Renjia moved and said, Boss, how did my performance go? However, why do you have the scent of dragon blood on you? Could it be that the dangerous aura is coming from a dragon? Long Fei said, It's good that you know it. Don't tell anyone, Tang Renjia immediately replied. Understood. Long Fei did not say what happened inside, and directly said, Let's hurry up and go. The powerhouse of God's tribe is about to catch up. All right. Long Fei walked to the entrance of the zombie main hall and once again destroyed the entrance of the secret world. Everyone quickly entered the lower level. Rumble. 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 A golden hand suddenly extended out of the crack in the secret world, which tore the void apart. One of the golden armor elder walked out, while the other one followed out. Standing in midair, standing in the dark world, the golden armored elder's idea slightly moved as it gently sensed every nook and cranny of the dark world. Suddenly, a golden armor elder suddenly sank. Schwa! It instantly landed on the ground, and then lightly grabbed. It grabbed a thin layer of green dragon scale, and the dragon scale really started to fade and disappear. These were the dragon scales which Long Fei had revealed when he punched the azure dragon in the beginning. Golden Armor Elder's gaze suddenly tensed up. Dragon? A true dragon. Another Golden Armor Elder descended and looked at the dragon's scale. His eyes shook as he said faintly, "Why is there a dragon here? And why is it a high-ranked one at that?" Golden Armor Elder laughed. "Seems like we underestimated that Ming clan brat. To be able to kill a dragon of this level, his Ming clan's inheritance of power must not be simple. They are at least the power of the fourth layer of the Ming clan's legacy. Of course, they did not see the azure dragon. The dragon scales that they had obtained had been diluted for a very long time. Else, they would not have thought that to be the case. Let's go chase them. Don't worry, we won't be able to escape." Ha ha! Boom! Xian Yu Mountain Range made a loud noise. Then, a group of people rushed out from Secret World. When Long Fei destroyed the Secret World's entrance once again, even if he couldn't stop the powerhouse of God's tribe, he could still delay them for a long time. "I'm finally out. You finally got rid of it. Ha ha ha. So, what if you're a powerhouse of God's tribe? Wasn't he left behind by our boss?" Ha ha ha. Everyone let out a long sigh. Being chased by powerhouse of God's tribe was truly very uncomfortable. Long Fei said, "Let's not talk too much for now. We need to hurry to Magic Tribe." The destructive power of the powerhouse of God's tribe was too strong. They could destroy the entire plane. He had to leave this plane as soon as possible. Otherwise, Long Fei would feel that it was not safe. At this moment, Kai Lina landed, his eyebrows slightly tightened, and said, "Xian Yu's sect is gone." It was razed to the ground. Moreover, a deep crater was created after an explosion of hundreds of thousands of kilometers in radius. The Xian Yu mountain range began to crack as volcanoes erupted at many places, and the spirit energy of this plane became chaotic. Most likely, this plane won't be able to hold out much longer. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Is the plane about to crack? Holy *T. He had received the Azure Dragon blood essence, and his physical body had become stronger, but Long Fei was still not able to unleash the full power of the Azure Dragon blood essence. He was still unable to contend against the powerhouse of God's tribe. His strength was too unstable. Many of these powers were not something Long Fei could truly control himself. Furthermore, the underworld fire did not have much of an effect on the powerhouse of God's tribe. It needed to level up even more, so the power in his right arm was the same. How could he control it? He did not want to fall into that muddled state. He did not want to be controlled by that power. If he wanted to defeat the powerhouse of God's tribe, he had to raise his strength again. He needed time. Long Fei said solemnly, "Enter the wilderness." The idea moved, rising into the air. Swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk one after another, they followed behind Long Fei and quickly flew up towards the sky of the wilderness. One day later, Long Fei and his people came to the territory of Magic Tribe. To their surprise, the place was packed. Other than the people from the Magic Tribe, most of them were humans who had rushed over from other cities. Old, weak, and handicapped. Warrior, powerhouse. Countless people sat on the ground, despair evident in their eyes. Even half of the plane was collapsing, so only the wilderness and the Magic Tribe were slightly safe. There were people everywhere in the Magic Tribe, and far away, there were crowds of people that were still entering the Magic Tribe's territory. The Demon Emperor's death had already reached the Magic Tribe. They also knew about the new demon emperor. It was a human that they revered with all their hearts. As a result, when the humans rushed into the territory of Magic Tribe, they did not push everyone aside. Instead, they arranged for the environment as far as possible and took care of everyone who needed to be taken care of. Magic Tribe's actions also moved everyone. At this moment, there were no races in the Zhenwu continent. Work together to fight against the gods' tribe together. Moreover, they were also waiting. There was hope in those despairing eyes, and finally, there was a sliver of hope. Long Fei. On the Magic Mountain, Long Fei landed. The leaders of the various families of Magic Tribe immediately came forward and kneeled down. With a heavy voice, they said, "Greetings, Lord Demon Emperor." Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The 17th son of Devil took out his Demon Emperor badge and knelt in front of Long Fei as well. All of Magic Tribe kneeled down. "Greetings, Lord Demon Emperor." Long Fei's mind tightened. At this time, he did not hesitate. He knew that the people of the Magic Tribe were waiting for him, and the entire Zhenwu continent was waiting for him. The aura around Long Fei moved all the people in the plaza up. "Now that I, Long Fei, am here, I will definitely protect you all." And then Long Fei quickly walked into the Demon God Hall. "Tell me about the current situation." An old man immediately said, "The southern region has already collapsed. The entire plain is collapsing, and the Zhenwu continent won't be able to hold on for 10 days. After you killed the Sky Envoy, everyone placed your last hope in front of the Zhenwu continent. At the same time, we have also formed an army formed by various races. These people all have very high cultivation bases, but there are also some with special abilities waiting for your orders." Everyone looked at Long Fei. Long Fei didn't have any expression, but his heart secretly tensed up. "I'm afraid Powerhouse of God's Tribe simply won't give us 10 days of time. Once they break through Secret World, they would immediately attack here. At that time, if there was another explosion in the Magic Tribe territory, this plane would probably be destroyed. The entire plane, the billions, the tens of billions of lives." Huff. Long Fei let out a light breath and said, "Right now, all of you should enter the territory of the Magic Tribe to the best of your abilities. No one is rejected. All life is life." The old man nodded. "As you command." Long Fei looked at him again and said, "Also, I want to know everything about the Magic Mountain." If he wanted to access the entrance, the Magic Mountain was the only place. This was what Long Fei felt. It was also the feeling he had when he had broken through the 10-story Devil Tower. The old man immediately replied, "I will immediately send down orders and gather all the information I have regarding the Magic Mountain." Long Fei waved his hand. "Go." The crowd dispersed. Yurong walked to Long Fei's side, slowly squatted down, and leaned on Long Fei's knees, softly saying, "Can we hold on?" "I don't know." The dragon shook his head as he looked at the exclamation mark that was floating above Yurong's head. What was the difference? Could it be that he really had to penetrate her body in order to activate it? "Thank you for your support." And then Long Fei took a step forward. Yurong's hands also loosened slightly. She wouldn't stop Long Fei from doing anything. She stood up from the ground and said, "Amen." Then Long Fei disappeared in a flash of light, disappearing from the Demon God Hall. If they couldn't avoid it, if they couldn't escape, then let's fight. War was Long Fei's personality. If he was alone, he would wait for Powerhouse of God's Tribe to come out. Now, he represents the entire Zhenwu continent. Boom. Half an hour later, a loud noise came from the depths of the wilderness as Long Fei landed. His body floated above the surface of the cold pond. As his heart sunk slightly, he thought to himself, In the past, I relied on experience points to accumulate any cultivation to break through realms, but now I have already reached the peak of Zhenwu continent. If I do not enter a higher plane, my level will definitely not be able to go up. It was the same level setting as in the game. The highest level was level 70. No matter how much experience you received, it was useless. This was a game setting. Unless the game was updated, your experience points would be able to break through levels and level up again. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to level for the rest of your life. Long Fei was currently in this state. Unless he could break into a higher realm, his level would not be able to. Long Fei was very clear about this point. If he could still level up, he would have done so a long time ago. Just the Azure Dragon's 100 billion experience points alone was enough for him to level up. Now, the only thing I can rely on is comprehension. Then it's over. The power in my right arm. This was the only way for Long Fei to raise his strength. While they were talking, Long Fei's mind slightly sunk. His entire being became quiet. He turned around and slightly exerted some strength in his fists, causing the idea to activate the power in his right arm and change his mind. Boom. Long Fei's clothes automatically ignited. His entire body was scarlet red. A patch of blood-red scales appeared, making him look like a blood Qilin. At this moment, all the restless demon beast in the wilderness immediately crawled to the ground. They didn't even dare to breathe loudly. He was like a monarch descending upon the world. At this moment, Long Fei's body slowly sank, falling down from the cold pond. Gulp. Gulp. Long Fei was completely still within the immense power. The idea was continuously stimulated and continuously tested. Under the water, he discovered that he did not need to hold his breath. He could completely breathe freely. Is this the power of a dragon? That's not right. Right now, my entire body is covered with dragon scales. I haven't become a dragon. And the scales on my body have only grown under the surface of my skin, but they haven't. Then, will I be able to become stronger after I break through this level of power? Long Fei's heart turned sinister. Zhang Xin frowned. A huge aura burst out. Crazily, all the veins in his body bulged. At this time, he didn't care about anything else. He was desperately releasing the power in his right arm to the maximum extent. Rumble! 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 The 100-meter deep cold pond began to rumble. The ice-cold, bone-piercing cold pond water began to boil and boil in less than half a minute. The entire surface of the pond was like boiling water. Not enough. It's not enough. Still not enough. Long Fei roared loudly. He forcefully released his power. He never thought that he was very smart. He also knew that he didn't have much talent for cultivation. From the start, he only relied on persevering, and his effort was many times stronger than others. He didn't understand cultivation. He didn't know how to cultivate the power in his body. This was the only way. It was also a way to die. He was continuously releasing his strength, using it to break through his limits and break through his shackles. This is a very painful process. However, this was the only method that Long Fei could think of. No matter how much pain he endured, it didn't matter to him. As long as he could become stronger, it was enough to protect the people he wanted to protect. Again, boom, boom. Energy boiled within his body, and his blood also seemed to be burning as it continuously surged forth. The scorching energy in his body was also being released continuously. A few hours later, one dragon scale after another pierced his skin. Chapter 2667. Explosive Power. Chapter 2667. Explosive Power Dragon Scale Break. Dark red blood exploded from every pore on his body. one by one. The dragon's scale pierced the body with blood. It was very ferocious. Long Fei would feel the pain of his body being torn apart at least once. This pain almost made him faint, but he still endured with his teeth, because, with his draconic scales breaking through his body, he could feel the changes in his physical body. He could feel that the power under his right arm had grown even stronger. Hoo. Long Fei panted heavily, blood trickling down from the corner of his mouth. His face was pale, white as he looked at his right hand. The bloody draconic scales were filled with the stench of blood, while at the same time they carried with them an incomparable amount of power. Who? Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he thought in his heart, "Let's give it a try." His right arm moved. As if accepting Long Fei's orders, the dragon scales instantly exploded, and Long Fei threw out a punch. His entire body was currently within the cold pond. He did not use any other power, just the power in the dragon's scale. His right fist moved, striking a very ordinary blow into the depths of the cold pond. Bam! A very soft sound. It was just a splash, nothing special. His strength was mediocre. His speed was quite ordinary. His aura was also very normal, and without any change, it was just a normal strike. Long Fei thought in his heart, "Can't we? Is it not enough?" But suddenly, the water in the cold pond suddenly began to swirl and shrink back. Shwa! The entire pond was filled with water, millions of tons of water. At this moment, all of them disappeared. It was too strange. Moreover, the surroundings of the cold pond quickly became dry and cracked. The surrounding algal plants were instantly dried and withered. This power, just as Long Fei was in shock, an extremely immense power existed within his right arm. It was the 1,000,000 tons of frost jade pool that had just been absorbed. Damn! He absorbed the sleeping water with a single punch? What kind of power is this? Long Fei didn't even understand it himself. His understanding of power was too little, and his understanding of the dragon race's power was also too little. What kind of power was this? Rise! With a shift of his aura, Long Fei's body flew into the air. Long Fei looked down at the dried-up cold pond and let it go. His right arm moved. Fire! Walala! Rumble! Following Long Fei's order, the 1,000,000 tons of cold pond water turned into a huge round ball, and then it smashed towards the cold pond. He couldn't feel the strength behind it. However, the moment the 1,000,000 tons of water fell into the cold pond, a violent shockwave was released. The ground began to shake and churn like a wave. Rings after rings quickly swept out, enveloping an area of 100,000 kilometers. Rumble! 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 The entire wilderness was shaking. At this moment, all the demon beasts within 100,000-kilometer radius were instantly killed. His body was smashed to smithereens. Not even the flying demon beast had been spared. Not even a single mosquito remained. The cold pond seemed to have transformed into a gigantic crater with a diameter of 10,000 meters. Long Fei was dumbstruck. Looking at his right arm that had grown dragon scales on it, he became extremely excited. Ha 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 ha, ha ha ha. The heck? This power. This is awesome. This is awesome. Too strong. It was hard to imagine. The scene just now continuously played around in Long Fei's mind. The power was too terrifying. Ha ha ha. Powerhouse of God's tribe, right? I want to see just how strong you are. Long Fei revealed an excited expression, then heavily descended, once again landing on the ground. He sat cross-legged, and once again released the maximum amount of power from his right arm, as well as stimulate it to the maximum extent. He wanted to completely transform himself into a dragon. There were only a few dozen dragon scales on his right arm, but He was already able to unleash such a powerful force. What would happen if he were to release all of the dragon scales? Just the thought of it made him excited. Long Fei was getting impatient. Boom, boom. Long Fei's body released many roars and clashed again and again. It was very difficult. It was extremely difficult to break through a piece of dragon scale after being released a few times. But Long Fei did not give up. Even if he died, he would risk it all. A loud sound reverberated across the desolate land, causing the people on the magic tribe to tremble slightly. Many people felt fear and thought that the powerhouse of God's tribe was already in the wilderness. Magic tribe also became restless. The elderly people from the 10 tribes were crazily collecting all kinds of information regarding the Magic Mountain, organizing them as well. The patrol team led by the Transformers was also crazily arranging the people who entered the Magic Tribe's territory. Millions of people came to Magic Tribe every day. This place became the last resting place of the Zhan Wu continent. More and more people gathered. An old man wearing a purple robe stood outside the demon god palace of Magic Mountain. Although the old man couldn't see his face, he gave off a gloomy feeling. With each step he took, he seemed as if he would collapse at any moment, and he walked out of the great hall. When Princess Sand Moon saw him, he immediately stepped forward and said, "Old Grandpa, let me help you." The elder smiled and said, "I'm old and useless." The moment Princess Sand Moon held onto the old man, her heart trembled because he felt that there was a piece of hard wood under his clothes. Xiao Dai stepped forward and said, "Old grandfather, is there something you need?" Was it the person who kidnapped her? Where did he go? I'll go meet him. Just as Thin Monkey wanted to say something, he was interrupted by Eeyore. Let's wait for Long Fei to come back first. What we need to do now is to do our best to look for the secret of Magic Mountain in this current situation. Is there any news from the great senior brother? One of the clan elders of the Magic Tribe said, "There isn't anything on the side of the Magic Captains, but they have already entered the Magic Mountain. So far they have not discovered anything." Eeyore replied, "And Machem, Transformers said, we have to do something right? I'm really going to go crazy." They all knew that as long as Golden Armor Elder broke through Secret World, they would immediately come here. Breaking through Secret World was only a matter of time, but there was nothing they could do. That was hard. Eeyore said, "Become strong. Even if we have a second, we need to try our best to become stronger than the second before. Only by becoming stronger can we fight against Long Fei. Otherwise, we will forever be his burden." This sentence had reached their hearts. It had always been Long Fei protecting them. Long Fei would need to save them many times because they weren't strong enough. Transformers' gaze tensed up and said solemnly, "I understand." He strode out of the hall. The idea moved. Holding the scarlet red staff in its hand, it jumped up heavily and landed 1,000 meters away. Then with a few steps, it disappeared. The war was coming. Although they didn't know when it had started, they knew that there was a battle to the death waiting for them. Become stronger. He must become even stronger, even if it was an hour, a minute, or even a second. The big guy said innocently, "I'm going." Thin Monkey said, "I'll go too." Most of the people in the hall had already left, and they were all shocked by what they saw. He could no longer be a burden to Long Fei. Eeyore looked at his father and said, "Father." Lucien smiled faintly and said, "Do whatever you want to do. Father will not stop you." Eeyore acknowledged gently before leaving the hall. She hadn't used the power of the Nether Phoenix because she was afraid of exposing her identity, but now she had been discovered. Now that things had reached this stage, he no longer had to be afraid of anything. Gifted soul of Underworld. the power of the netherworld phoenix. She wanted to raise her strength to the limit. This was the only thing she could do for Long Fei. Boom, boom, boom. Deep in the wilderness, the power around Long Fei's body kept exploding. A blood-red colored flame burned all over his body. His brows were tightly knitted, and blood-red colored sweat rolled down his body. From the half of his arm to his entire arm, Long Fei had used an entire 2 days' time. Now, other than the imprint of the dragon-shaped body, Long Fei's right arm also had dragon scales that covered the 5 fingers of his hand. His strength became even stronger. Huff! Long Fei felt as if all of his breath was stained with blood. Every time he activated a piece of dragon scale, his body would be in immense pain. After the pain came the sudden force of a new sky. Is it my limit? Long Fei let out a deep breath. He was currently exhausted and no longer had the energy to activate the scales on his body. Huff! I wonder if this kind of training method will work. If it's possible, maybe I won't need the power of the system anymore. Long Fei laughed. Of course. He only said that he knew that there was no system. He reckoned that he would not even be able to enter Xianyu sect, much less encounter so many people and so many brothers. However, if it could be combined with training and the system, then it would be perfect. He could cultivate on his own, and also use the system to level up. Equipment dropped. Obtaining the system reward would be such a great experience. This was also Long Fei's fantasy. If I were the systems designer, I would have definitely made up for it. Just as Long Fei was thinking about this, boom! A loud sound was heard. Soon after, a beam of fire shot up into the sky, like a beam of light. Long Fei frowned. Looking in the direction of the flames, he said, "The secret world has been broken through. Are you out yet?" Chapter 26, 69, Kill Him? Pleasure. Chapter 26, 69, Kill Him? Pleasure. The tremors spread, and flames soared into the sky. After that loud noise, the entire Xianyu mountain range began to rapidly collapse, and huge mountains started to collapse one after another, causing the lava underground to erupt. Millions of kilometers of mountains turned into a sea of fire. It linked to the sky, as if half the sky was burning. Moreover, the underground crevices were quickly linked together. God Capital, Xianyu sect, and right now, the entire Xianyu mountain range was rapidly cracking and unceasingly expanding. At this rate, in less than 3 days, the entire Zhenwu continent would be in pieces. I'm finally out. I never thought that there would be such a high-level secret world in such a low-level plane. I truly never expected this. Golden Armor Elder stood on top of a mountain and looked down at the ground. Everything around them was in ruins. That brat deliberately lured us in, and then he wrecked the secret world, attempting to trap us inside to delay our escape. I'm very angry. A Golden Armor Elder was looking in the direction of the wilderness, and then, with a slight movement of his finger, dozens of golden pills flew out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just like a missile being fired, Golden Armor Elder's face was filled with contempt as he sneered. Does he think he can escape? What an overconfident thought. Sigh, aren't these ants just like this? Fighting the heavens. Almost looking to die. As soon as he finished, the dozens of medicinal pills drew lines of flame in the sky, after which they descended into the desolated land. Immediately, the desolated land began to burst apart in a crazy manner. The demon beast was also good. The people who hid in the wilderness cried and knelt down to worship the heavens, but it was completely useless. No one would pity them. At this moment, a Golden Armor Elder slightly moved the center of his brows, the corners of his mouth curled up, and he laughed lightly. We found him. Ha ha. Kid, let's see where you can escape to this time. Then, a golden light flashed, and Golden Armor Elder teleported out. The wilderness had turned into a sea of fire. The people who had hidden in the wilderness were fleeing frantically, but they were soon engulfed in flames. The violent explosion had also caused the wasteland to crack. Once a crack was connected to the crack in the Xianyu mountain range, it would crack open. The end of the Zhenwu continent is here. Help! Save my mother! Save my mother! Is there anyone here? Save my mother! Within the sea of fire, a little girl with a face full of filth was crying her heart out. Beside her lay a middle-aged woman who had fainted. Clearly, she was a fighter. His cultivation wasn't low. He used all of his strength to form a line of defense, protecting his daughter. A golden light descended. Golden Armor Elder looked at the little girl amidst the sea of fire and smiled slightly. "Little friend, I'll save you." The girl immediately said, "Thank you, my lord. Thank you, my lord. I'll kneel down for you. Hurry and save my mother. Hurry and save her." At this moment, the middle-aged woman slowly opened her eyes, seeing Golden Armor Elder fall to the ground. Her expression tensed up, as if she had returned back to the mortal world. She held the girl behind her and pleaded, "Master, I beg of you. She is only a child, just a child. I beg of you." The little girl did not understand and said, "Mother, this Lord has come to save us. Look at him. His body is glowing with a golden light, and he isn't afraid of fire at all. He should be the deity you're talking about, right? Mr. Immortal, you will save us, right?" The middle-aged woman trembled, grabbing tightly onto her daughter. She knew who Golden Armor Elder was, and what the golden light on his body signified. The Golden Armor Elder smiled kindly and gently. "That's right. I'm here to save you. I'm an immortal." The little girl said innocently, "Mother, look, he is the celestial grandfather who has shown great mercy to us. He is here to save us from the sea of fire." He had an innocent look on his face. The woman knelt on the ground and quickly kowtowed. "I beg of you, please let her go. I beg of you, please let her go." Golden Armor Elder smiled, faintly, as his fingers moved slightly. A surge of power directly bound the woman, and then, with a slight movement, placed her above the flames. Ah! The woman's whole body was on fire. She let out a series of screams, but she still shouted, "I beg of you, please let my child go. Please, please." When the little girl saw her mother put the fire to roast, she immediately rushed over and said, "Mother, mother." Golden Armor Elder said slightly, "I'm saving your mother." As soon as the power was released, the woman fell into the sea of fire and was instantly engulfed by the flames. The little girl was so scared that her face turned pale and her eyes sparkled. She stood where she was, trembling. Golden Armor Elder laughed out loud and said, "Ha ha, ha ha ha. Did you see that? Your mother is no longer screaming right now. So did I save your mother? Ha ha ha." The little girl's voice was trembling as she stared at Golden Armor Elder and said, "I want to avenge Mother. I want to kill you." He took out a small wooden sword and rushed fiercely towards Golden Armor Elder. Golden Armor Elder smiled, lightly. "Don't worry, I will save you too. I'll let you go and recruit your mother." Ha ha ha. A cruel sneer. With a gentle hook of his finger, he lifted the little girl up and spoke sinisterly, "There is no need for ants. It is a waste for lowly humans like you to live. All of you go to hell." The idea moved. He threw them all into the sea of fire. At this moment, from the depths of the sea of flames, a powerful surge of power came crashing towards him. His power was like a shock wave that caught the little girl in the air. Under his power, the flames were instantly extinguished. Not even ashes were left behind. The little girl slowly landed on the ground. She looked around and saw a figure slowly walking towards her. One person. The golden armor elder laughed coldly and said, "I've finally come out." The little girl looked at the person that walked out and asked, "Big brother, are you also a scoundrel or a deity?" Long Fei replied, "No, there are no deities in this world, nor are there any immortals. No one can become a deity, no one can become an immortal, and there is no one who can replace the heavens. You have to remember, no one can casually take control of another's life, and their life will forever be in their own hands. Did you remember that?" The little girl nodded and said, "Big brother, I'll remember it." Following that, the little girl said, "Big brother, can you do me a favor?" Long Fei said, "Tell me." The little girl pointed at the high and mighty golden armor elder and said, "Can you help my mother take revenge and kill him?" Her eyes were filled with hatred. She would never forget what happened just now. Her heart was filled with hatred. Long Fei looked at the little girl's eyes that were filled with hatred and lightly smiled. "I am happy to help you. Thank you for your support." Chapter 2670. The Dead It's You. Chapter 2670. The Dead It's You. Golden Armor Elder looked at Long Fei and laughed coldly. He stared at Long Fei with a superior gaze and said, "Brat, you finally appeared. Do you think you can escape?" Long Fei laughed. "Run? I never thought of running away. If I don't kill all of you God's tribe dogs, how would I escape?" As soon as he finished, Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Explode. Boom. With a huge bang, the power in Long Fei's right arm began to surge crazily. Also at this moment, Long Fei directly smashed at Golden Armor Elder's face. "You bastards killed her mother in front of the girl. Are you still human? On behalf of the gods, represents the sky, you can't even represent a bastard." A ball of fury was burning in Long Fei's heart. He punched out. Green dragon flame. Boom. His fist began to burn. A streak of green flame was released from the flames. Golden Armor Elder squinted his eyes and disdainfully sneered. Dragon clan cultivation technique? He even practiced a dragon clan cultivation technique. Seems like I've really underestimated you. The golden light on Golden Armor Elder's body stirred. All of the surrounding flames were absorbed, forming a powerful flame shield. Golden Armor Elder sneered. "I am the powerhouse, so I can represent the gods, represent the heavens, understand? Kid, you want to fight against a god. You want to fight against the heavens. Then you have to be even more powerful than the gods, understand?" As soon as he finished, the flame shield suddenly formed a huge flame net covering the entire sky and the earth as it flew towards Long Fei. It was incomparably huge. It was like a layer of fire in the sky. "Ha ha ha." The Golden Armor Elder smiled faintly and said, "Prepare to obediently kneel on the ground and tremble." Zhang Xian frowned. The coercion of the gods' tribes aura also instantly blasted towards Long Fei's sea of consciousness. "Kneel." Golden Armor Elder was his bodyguard. Although there were no god's tribes in his body, there was still pressure from the god's tribe's power. It was not pure, but it was strong enough in the Zhenwu continent. Boom. The heavens might shook. The lightning bolt struck down once again. As long as he was crushed, Long Fei would instantly be bound by the giant flaming net. However, Long Fei moved his right hand. Supreme Dragon Knife, come out. Buzz. With a grab at the air, a blade with the back of a blade appeared. Long Fei's right hand held onto the blade hilt as he slashed at the air. Roar. 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 Numerous dragon-shaped blade chi whizzed out, shooting into the sky like living dragons, and crazily devoured the god's tribe's pressure that was released by the Golden Armor Elder. In addition, it was instantly torn to shreds. The supreme dragon knife could even destroy the might of a dragon. The dragon race has already been stepped on by us, God's tribe, so we have to be their watchdogs. You can't be from the dragon race. But, he could not believe it. However, everything before his eyes was real once again. The blood-red scales that faintly appeared on Long Fei's skin were the dragon's scale. But didn't the dragons surrender? Wasn't it suppressed by the Emperor Xian? Even Long Wuqian didn't dare to fart in front of God's tribe. How could there be a dragon who would dare to go against the God's tribe? He could not understand. However, although he was shocked, he did not relax his strength. Looking at the dragon scales on Long Fei's chest, he said in a heavy voice, whether it is the dragon race or the remnants of Ming clan, all of them were stepped on by our God's tribe. And you are also the same. Even if you are from two races, you will still be trampled by me. Die. With the impact of the power, S chest continued to erupt with flames. It was like sparks produced from the collision of steel. At this moment, Long Fei felt the defense of the dragon's scale. Very strong. If it was before, he would have already been burnt to ashes. However, defense was not Long Fei's personality. His personality was explosive, it was offensive. His right arm moved, his entire sleeve ignited, and the incomparably ferocious dragon scales exploded. With a heavy grip, he gloomily said, "The one who died was you." Chapter 2671, Golden Armor Elder Explosion. Chapter 2671, Golden Armor Elder Explosion. The power of the dragon's scale exploded. The blood-colored dragon's scales flickered with a blood-colored light. The power coursed through his veins and vessels and gathered in his fist. The entire world trembled. Golden Armor Elder's eyes tensed up. He looked at his burning arm and the bloody dragon scales that appeared on it. These dragon scales were very special. Not an ordinary dragon, and not a blood dragon. As for what kind of dragon, he had never seen one before. It was just that. No matter what kind of dragon it was, Golden Armor Elder was not afraid. Because no matter how strong a dragon was, it was useless under his feet, and would still be trampled by him. Watching Long Fei charge towards himself, the corner of Golden Armor Elder's mouth slightly curled as he sneered, "Little ant, how can you overturn the heavens?" "Heaven's might." Boom. Both hands quickly formed a seal, causing the idea to soar to the sky. At this moment, the sky sank and began to wreak havoc. Streams of powerful energy came crashing down from above like a raging tide. It was abnormally fierce. The heavens were vast and mighty. The ripple spread to 1,000,000 kilometers. Under the might of the heavens, all living beings were like ants. The golden armor on Golden Armor Elder's body continuously exploded outwards with loud noises as long wind flew outwards. His slightly aged face carried a look of contempt as he looked at Long Fei and said, "Die." Long Fei did not stop. He didn't hesitate either. Beneath the might of the heavens, he did not even spare a glance at them as he punched towards Golden Armor Elder's face. Buzz. The golden armor on Golden Armor Elder's body released a golden light that enveloped his entire body. It was as if he had activated his golden body. The old man also laughed loudly. "Tremble under the might of the heavens, ha ha ha." But, without waiting for him to laugh, Long Fei punched out. Crack! The golden body began to crack. Walala! The power of his golden body completely shattered. At this moment, the power from the sky came crushing down, heavily smashing onto Long Fei's mind. His entire body felt as though it had touched 1,000,000 volts worth of pressure lines, and that kind of pain. He clenched his teeth tightly. He retracted his fist. The second punch shot out like lightning. "Let's F*** ***king. See who dies first. Boom. Bam. He punched Golden Armor Elder in the face, causing Golden Armor Elder's face to darken and warp. Blood spurted out of his nose. Large front teeth flew out as well. He spat out a mouthful of blood. He fell from the sky like a kite with its string cut. One punch on the golden body break. The punch was seriously injured. This power, it was too fierce, unimaginably fierce. Even Long Fei himself didn't think of this, but he didn't think of this right now. While you're sick, I'll take your life. When he saw Golden Armor Elder fall like a kite with its string cut, Long Fei's body sank, and he almost sat on Golden Armor Elder's body. And then, bang, 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 bang. His fists were like rain. Berserk critical strike. Acting tough with your father? The powerhouse of God's tribe is impressive. Are you representing the gods by chasing and killing so many people from the Zhen Wu continent? Represents the sky? Your father, represent your ancestors. Long Fei roared heavily. Punch after punch was delivered. Every time a punch was thrown, an astonishing critical hit would float up. Looking at the long string of numbers, he really did make a fierce comparison. Boom! Golden Armor Elder was smashed to the ground. Long Fei stepped on his head, coldly stared at him, and said, "Come, continue to be arrogant for this old man." Golden Armor Elder's entire face was a mess of blood and flesh. All of the golden armor on his body had shattered. The defenses on his body could be said to be completely destroyed by Long Fei. Golden Armor Elder, who had one eye blown off, gasped, said, "Brat, do you know who I am? I am a bodyguard of the gods' tribe. Do you dare to kill me?" "Ha ha! I don't dare. How dare I kill you? You are the bodyguard of the gods' tribe. You represent the heavens. You represent the gods. How could I dare to kill someone as high and mighty as you?" Long Fei said indifferently. The Golden Armor Elder said with a heavy voice, "Then why don't you quickly let me go?" Before he could finish his words, the smile on Long Fei's face suddenly turned cold, and he coldly said, "I will self-destruct you." Boom! He aimed at Golden Armor Elder's Ming Men and threw a dragon-scale blood fist downwards. In the sky and in the ground, there is nothing that your father doesn't dare to do. Boom! The punch landed. The Ming Men shattered. Golden Armor Elder's eyes were wide open in anger. His eyeballs were about to pop out, and his screams could still be heard from the void. "No, no!" Boom! His entire body exploded. The golden armor on his body instantly crumbled into dust. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing God's tribe, for gaining 100 million experience, 10 million true chi points, and 100 arrogant God energy value points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining God's tribe space ring. Damn! He directly dropped the space ring. Ha ha ha! Awesome! Long Fei was secretly excited. He immediately opened the system to check the space ring's contents. Suddenly, he discovered that the space ring of the Golden Armor Elder looked very similar to those of the space ring in his system. Long Fei's heart immediately went cold. Holy **T. Could it be that all 72 space ring are powerhouse of God's tribes? Could it be that these people were all killed by me? Oh my gosh! Then I used to hang myself. Long Fei was stunned. The shape of the ring was similar to the carvings on it. It must have come from the same race. One could imagine. The 72 space ring were from God's tribe. Long Fei was a little excited in his heart. My current level is still not enough. Otherwise, if I were to take all these out, I really would be rich. Ha ha ha. Right. Long Fei's expression retracted, and his eyes stared at another place within the flames as he said, "How long are you planning to hide for?" "You're next. Come out." There were a total of 2 Golden Armor Elders. One died, so naturally there was one more. As Long Fei's voice fell, the shadow of the golden armor elder suddenly moved. He flew straight into the sky. He frowned. The power on Long Fei's body was too weird. He had never seen a dragon with such power. Moreover, God's tribe guards were instantly killed. He wanted to report to the higher-ups. Report everything that's happened here. The corner of Long Fei's mouth curled up as he coldly asked, "You want to leave? Have you asked Lousy? Do I agree? I don't agree." So, just at the instant when the golden-armored elder was about to fly up to the sky, Long Fei's right fist smashed against the ground as he shouted, "Myriad dragon burial sky." Roar! Roar! Dragons' roars resounded in the sky. The aura released from his right fist immediately condensed into the image of a dragon. It was incomparably huge, and then tens of thousands of dragons burst out, smashing heavily towards the golden armor elder. That scene, it was like 10,000 heaven pillar smashing on a small ant. It was extremely shocking. Long Fei also sneered and said, "Die." Chapter 2672, Dragon Head. Chapter 2672, Dragon Head. 10,000 dragons buried heaven and 10,000 dragons oppressive might. There was no way to block it. In an instant, golden armor elder descended from the sky and then fiercely attacked with 10,000 dragons. Half a second later, the golden armor elder turned into a pile of meat paste. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 10 billion experience points for killing God's tribe, 10 million true chi points, and 100 arrogant God energy value points. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining God's tribe space ring. 2 notifications sounded. Long Fei said, excitedly, "I broke through his space ring again." Ha! At the same time, Long Fei retracted his consciousness and let out a heavy breath. "I've finally killed him. Now, he's in contact with the danger of the Zhen Wu continent, right?" After the 2 gods' tribe guards were killed, no one dared to cause any more harm to the Zhen Wu continent. It was also at this time. Crack! Long Fei retracted his aura and retracted the blood-colored dragon scales. At the same time, a bone-cracking sound came out from his body. At this moment, boom, his body felt as though it was about to explode. Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. Puff! His entire body fainted in an instant. Dragon scale powers backlash. The little girl ran up and shouted, "Big brother! Big brother! Big brother!" Long Fei's vision gradually blurred. He fell into darkness, endless darkness. However, in the darkness, Long Fei felt that he was in another world, just like the special secret world he had encountered when he was facing the Azure Dragon in the Xian Yu secret territory. "Is anyone there? Where is this place?" Long Fei shouted a few times. There was no reaction in the darkness. However, just as Long Fei turned around, a dragon head that was dripping with blood appeared behind him. It was huge, sinister, and covered in blood scales. However, if one wanted to compete with the blood-colored scales on the dragon head, the blood-colored dragon scales that appeared on Long Fei's arm were simply slag. He was being watched by 2 huge blood-red eyes. He didn't know why. The dragon head was sinister, and the kind of blood pupils could crush anything, so logically Long Fei should be afraid. Even if he was not afraid, he would still be nervous. But Long Fei was not the least bit afraid or nervous. It was completely different from when he saw the green dragon. Very strange. Long Fei stood there quietly and asked, "Who are you?" The dragon whiskers fluttered. The dragon's scale shone with a dark red light. He was like an old dragon king. After Long Fei asked this, the dragon head also produced a sound and asked, Who are you? It was as if he was repeating what Long Fei had said. Even his tone was the same. Long Fei said, I am Long Fei. The dragon had also voiced out, I am Long Fei. Long Fei muttered in his heart, Damn, what's going on? He looked at the dragon head and asked, Where are we? The dragon head also repeated, Where are we? Long Fei was a little unhappy and said, Being a repeater, is learning to speak very well. Dragon head still repeated, Being a repeater, is learning to speak very well. F***ck. Long Fei cursed in disdain. But at this time, the dragon had suddenly shouted out, Try saying it again. Suddenly, his tone changed. Long Fei was shocked. He looked at the dragon head in shock and said, So you are not a repeater, then who are you? Where is this place? Why do I have blood scales too? Dragonhead looked at Long Fei and said, I told you everything just now. Long Fei. He wanted to curse again, but he held back the look in his eyes that were like a dragon head. Told me? Tell me a hammer. At this moment, Long Fei felt his body shaking slightly. Boss, wake up, what's wrong? Boss, can you not use so much strength? Even if you don't die, you'll still shake me to death. Can you let him have a good rest? What are you doing? The voices of the Transformers and a few others rang out. Long Fei's consciousness was also slowly recovering, as if he could quickly recover in this empty world. His originally heavy internal injuries were now, his body had already recovered. Long Fei looked at the dragon head and said, I'm going. The dragon head did not intend to keep him. Long Fei was a little anxious. He felt that this dragon must have something to do with him. Why would he enter this special space? Was he dreaming? Or had his spiritual sense been absorbed into a special space? Long Fei himself was unsure. The dragon had said, Let's go. Long Fei said, You have nothing to say? For example, I have blood scales on me. Dragonhead said, There's nothing that I want to say. Long Fei was a little disappointed. And then his consciousness could not control it at all, and his idea slowly disappeared. Looking at the dragon head that was dripping with blood, he slowly grew further and further away, and finally, it was hard to tell if he was delirious or delirious, but he seemed to be standing there. Buzz. Hoo. Long Fei jumped up from the bed, gasping for air as if he was revived. And at this moment, Iyorong's eyes were filled with tears. She pounced on him immediately and hugged him tightly as she sobbed. I thought, woo. The room was full of people. Transformers, 17th son of Devil, the Princess San Moon, Xiao Dai, the thin monkey, and the big-sized man were all there. And the little girl. Seeing Long Fei suddenly wake up, everyone's eyes filled with tears. Transformers said heavily, You're finally awake. Boss, you've been in a coma for a day and a night, and you don't even have a breath left. We. Transformers held back. However, he still couldn't hold back his tears. Everyone was the same. Long Fei was slightly taken aback and said, No, Aura. Damn, didn't I die for a day and a night? But why do I feel like it only took a few minutes? Damn, what the hell is going on? Immediately, Long Fei immediately looked at his right arm. There was nothing on his right arm. Long Fei moved a little to feel it, and his eyes immediately lit up. The power has become stronger. So strange. How did it become stronger? Moreover, the number of activation tablets for the dragon scale has increased by 2. This confused Long Fei. Could it be you, a dragon head, blood-scaled dragon, an aura even stronger than an azure dragon? Who exactly is it? Long Fei's heart was filled with incomparable doubt. He had too many questions that he needed to find the answer to, Long Fei regained his composure and said, I'm fine. I made everyone worry. Also, the two golden armor elder S are already dead, and the danger in Zhenwu continent is also over. Don't worry, everyone. Yurong stood up and looked at Long Fei. Everyone looked at Long Fei. His expression was grave. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. He sensed that something was amiss and asked, What happened? Long Fei was puzzled. What exactly happened? Isn't the golden armor elder, sent by the gods, tribe dead? Why did it become like this? Could it be, this time, the people sent by the gods' tribe were not limited to just the two of them? Are there any other powerhouses? Long Fei secretly thought. He thought that it would be fine to kill the golden armor elder. But from the looks of it, it was far from over. He hated it too. One plane. Billions of people were killed just like that. What was this called? This was truly tragic beyond compare. This was worse than an animal. Even if human lives were worthless, this was not how they were killed. Too cruel. It was also at this time. Yurong suddenly thought of something and said, Could it be the old man from 3 days ago? Long Fei immediately asked, Who? Yurong said, When you were training in the wilderness, a purple-robed old man came here. He said that he will let you go to the immortal Cloud City to meet him when you return, and he even said that only he can help you solve your problem. Only he can save this world. When he thought about how the marble under the old man's feet had turned to dust the moment he left, Yurong became even more certain of his words. It must be him. He might be the elder and powerhouse sent by the gods' tribe. Long Fei asked, Immortal Cloud City? Transformers said, The immortal Cloud City was gone a long time ago. Long Fei did not hesitate. The idea moved and directly flew into the yellow sand. Yurong's gaze tightened and also instantly pounced into the yellow sand as he loudly shouted, Long Fei, wait for me. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The yellow sand violently swirled as the two of them instantly disappeared. Transformers wanted to follow along, but was stopped by Lucien. Don't go any further. If you go too far, it will only become a burden for Long Fei. Immediately, Lucien said, It doesn't matter whether that old man is powerhouse of God's tribe or not, and it doesn't matter whether Long Fei can deal with him. We also have our mission. As they spoke, Lucien looked at the chief captain and asked, Didn't we find the entrance to the demon world? Let's go take a look together. The Zhenwu continent is bound to be destroyed. We have to open the entrance. Chief Captain also immediately said, That's right, this is the only thing we can do for Long Fei. Everyone, follow me. In the void, a ball of flame flickered. From afar, it looked like a flickering fire lotus. In the next moment, he had appeared in another plane. The fire flashed again, and then he appeared in another plane, one step at a time. However, he was not satisfied. Kid, you have to hold on. Don't let me come here for nothing. I'm already so fat. If you let me come here for nothing, then it would really be unbearable. Human Emperor. Of course, he was a fat man, a huge fat man. With one step, the flame was engulfed. The next second, it appeared in another plane. It was just that. The Zhenwu continent was the most remote place in the universal realm. It was impossible to reach there as soon as possible, and the human emperor's speed was already at the limits of the universal realm. The human emperor looked at the space above his head. The most distant place was the universal realm. At this moment, the destruction cannons of the heavenly palace were already prepared and aimed at the Zhenwu continent. As long as they fired their cannons, the Zhenwu continent would be instantly killed. The human emperor said solemnly, You have to hold on. Kid, I don't want to make another mistake. He used all of his strength. Zhen Wu continent. Inside the yellow sand, Long Fei and Yurong flew together. Yurong held Long Fei's hand tightly. She really did not want to take another step away from Long Fei. If Long Fei was going to die, she would definitely accompany him. Thus, this time, she did not hesitate to follow him to the Immortal Cloud City. The Immortal Cloud City is just right in front of us. It's just that it's now a flat land covered in yellow sand. Yurong faintly said. At this moment, the sound of an azure dragon resounded within the Immortal Cloud City. It was hoarse like the sound of sand choking its owner. Kid, you finally arrived. Chapter 2674. Lousy is your ancestor. Chapter 2674. Lousy is your ancestor. You're finally here. A gloomy and hoarse voice rang out. At the same moment, a purple-robed elder's figure appeared in midair. A pile of yellow sand gushed out from beneath his feet. It was like a layer of earth beneath his feet. This scene, it made Long Fei think of the god of the desert. However, the elder of the desert god was nothing compared to him. When Long Fei looked at the old man, his first thought was that he was strong, very strong. The aura emitted from his body was extremely different from the aura on the golden armor elder. It was very different, as though he was a person from two different worlds. They were both from the descendant of God's tribe. Why was the difference in their cultivations so great? Moreover, he had single-handedly turned the entire plain into a desert. This power, what kind of power was this? Long Fei's mind was tranquil, and he said faintly, "You knew I would definitely come?" The purple-robed elder said, "You want to save your brother. You want to save your woman. You must come if you want to save Zhenwu continent." "I expected it," Long Fei said. "Aren't you afraid that I won't come?" The purple-robed elder said, "You won't." Long Fei asked with some doubt, "Why do you say that?" The purple-robed elder said, "Because your life will not allow these people to die in vain." Long Fei was silent for a moment, then asked, "Who are you? Why did you wait for me?" The purple-robed elder said, "Who I am is not important. The reason why I am waiting for you is naturally for the power of the ancient inheritance on your body. As long as you give me the power of the ancient inheritance, I will leave and this plane will be safe." "How is it?" After he finished speaking, the purple-robed elder looked at Long Fei. The triangular eyes were very gloomy. It was as if he could see through people's hearts. Being stared at like that was unbearable, Long Fei tried his best to remain calm and said, "Other than the things that you've said, I have another method that I can accomplish." The corner of the purple-robed elder's mouth curled up slightly, revealing a sneer. "What method?" Long Fei said, "I'll kill you." The purple-robed elder's expression didn't change. With a slight movement of his hands, the yellow sand on the ground quickly gushed out and dripped from the gaps between his fingers. He said, "You can try. I can give you a chance." Long Fei's eyes slightly tightened and said, "Try it." The purple-robed elder said, "I'll give you a chance." Before he could finish, Long Fei's chi suddenly exploded, and he bellowed, "Then let's try." Boom! With a flip of his left hand, the underworld fire moved and instantly locked onto him. "Buzz! Release him." The underworld fire as directly ignited on the purple-robed elder's body. But the damage floating above the purple-robed elder's head had turned out to be a series of English letters. Miss, miss, miss. It didn't deal any damage. Dealing with the golden armor elder would at least inflict a few digits of damage, but in front of this violet-robed elder, he couldn't even break through his defense. Underworld Fire's attack power was extremely strong. He had instantly killed the powerhouse of the true martial emperor and Sea King. He couldn't even break through the defense. How strong was he? Long Fei's gaze tensed up. The purple-robed elder said, "You don't even have the strength of the ancient inheritance to grasp the skin. People from lower realms like you are simply not qualified to obtain this kind of high-level inheritance. It's better to obediently hand over your strength." His words were filled with disdain. Earlier, his body hadn't moved at all, and he didn't use any defensive power. The underworld fire's attacks were useless against him. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, and he said, "What are you trying to say? People from the lower planes aren't qualified. Then you are qualified. You think someone like you is qualified to kill someone? A person like you who views human lives like grass." Boom. As soon as the power in his mind activated, the power in his right arm suddenly erupted. Under his clothes, the surface of his skin used a huge amount of strength, and his scarlet-red dragon scales flashed. Boom, boom, boom. The power continued to rumble. Clenching his right fist, Long Fei took a step forward. Boom. He was like a bullet that was shot out. In a split second, he was released, and he instantly appeared in front of the purple-robed elder. The purple-robed elder's eyes flickered slightly. Not bad. There are other powers as well. The punch landed. Boom. The purple-robed elder didn't even move as a trail of yellow sand gushed out. Long Fei's fist felt like it had been thrown into water. The power was instantly absorbed by the yellow sand. At the same time, the purple-robed elder was slightly shocked as he looked at Long Fei with curiosity and said, "This power, not the super force of Ming Clan." Boom. Another punch. However, once again, he was absorbed into it. The old man stood there without moving at all. The yellow sand around him exploded around his body like shields. Bang, 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 bang. His fist flew out like a torrential storm. Every time he was blocked by the sand, the power of his fists would be absorbed by him in an instant. It was impossible for him to hit the purple-robed elder. The purple-robed elder didn't even move. He did not use any of his strength. However, his eyes were still staring at Long Fei with a serious expression. "This power of yours, your strength." Strangely, there was no trace of the superforce of Ming Clan. But it's much stronger than the superforce of Ming Clan. Moreover, this power is just the beginning. Could it be that you still have another source of ancient inheritance power? She stared at Long Fei. Long Fei's fists were going berserk as he attacked ferociously. However, it was still useless. The power on his fist was useless. Even if he released the power from the mark on his right arm, it would be useless. He couldn't even touch the corner of the purple-robed elder's clothes. How could he deal damage? The violet-robed elder was far too powerful. Golden armor elder and the purple-robed elder were on completely different levels. Long Fei's heart also became tighter and tighter. Huff! Suddenly, Long Fei retreated suddenly, his eyes staring at the purple-robed elder as he exhaled deeply. The purple-robed elder also stared at Long Fei and said slightly, "Why did you stop? I already said that you only have this one chance." The chi on Long Fei's body suddenly moved. At this moment, the purple-robed old man seemed to have thought of something, and his 5 fingers suddenly grabbed out. A surge of power landed on Long Fei's clothes and abruptly split it apart. At this moment, the blood-red scales on the surface of its skin were incomparably savage. The purple-robed old man's eyes immediately became tense. "Dragon Clan! You, Blood Dragon! Who are you?" Also, at this moment, The dragon scales on Long Fei's right arm fiercely exploded as his sleeves ignited, and he threw out a punch. Roar. The dragon roared as the air trembled. Power was also particularly fierce. In that instant, Long Fei gave a heavy shout and said angrily, "I am your ancestor." Once you completely grasp this world's power, you will be able to control it. My ancient inheritance. Rot. I can even rot the sky. What do you think? Ha ha ha. However, from today onwards, I will be adding 2 more ancient inheritance powers. The purple-robed elder slowly floated up and looked at Long Fei, who was in the middle of the square. He laughed sinisterly. "Your power will soon be mine. Ha ha ha. As long as I obtain your power, then I can become an overlord of a region and become the #1 person under the Emperor Xian." Ha ha ha. As he laughed maniacally, the purple-robed elder's 10 fingers flashed with a decaying light. Yurong anxiously replied, "Long Fei." Long Fei immediately said, "Don't come over. Don't come over here." Yurong couldn't save him. Moreover, the purple-robed elder was simply too strong. He wasn't a match for him at all. The power of the ancient inheritance, Long Fei still did not know how to cultivate. No matter how strong the power of the ancient inheritance he possessed was, he did not know how to use it. Ha ha ha. "Kid, your power is mine now." The purple-robed old man thrust his hands into the magic cube. It was also at this time a huge fatty fell from the sky. Chapter 2676. Everything's gone. Chapter 2676. Everything's gone. A huge hole was made in the sky by the decaying power of the purple-robed elder. These large holes trapped Long Fei like a layer of sky. However, it just so happened a person suddenly fell from the sky through a large hole. A fatty, a huge fatty. However, the purple-robed elder had yet to realize that all of his attention was on Long Fei yet. 2 strands of ancient inheritance's power, and they were both at the initial stage. In other words, as long as he could absorb these 2 energies, it would be his. Thinking of this, the purple-robed old man couldn't help but feel excited. Yi Zichen moved his hands. He fiercely inserted it into the magic cube and solemnly said, "Give me your strength." Ha ha. Crazy absorption. And at this moment, countless streaks of lightning flashed out of the magic cube and directly connected onto Long Fei's body. It was densely packed. Long Fei's entire body was filled with lightning. It was a powerful absorption force. Yurong's pupils tightened as he shouted loudly, "Long Fei!" At this moment, Yurong did not care about that. His body moved, directly transforming into a huge dark phoenix, and his completely black body fiercely rushed towards the purple-robed elder. The violet-robed elder didn't pay any attention to him. A streak of yellow sand directly knocked Yurong flying. Yurong pounced again, but it was the same. It was impossible for him to get close. He was instantly sent flying by the yellow sand. Ah! Long Fei was in unbearable pain. Every single bolt of lightning linked onto every single piece of dragon scales on his body, and all the energy on his body was frantically being absorbed. It wasn't painful. The pain he felt was that when he saw Yurong being sent flying, the anger in his heart soared to the skies. F***CK, your ancestors. His strength was also constantly being released. However, the more he unleashed his power, the more he resisted, the more the power in his body dissipated. The Ming clan mark on his left arm trembled. The space seemed to be collapsing. He couldn't take it at all. The purple-robed old man laughed crazily in a sinister manner. Kid, the more you resist, the more you struggle, and the faster your power will be lost. Ha ha ha. You're everything. Everything in your body is mine. Ha ha ha. The power you cultivate, the cultivation method you cultivate, the soul treasure on your body, everything is mine. Ha ha ha. In the massive sky magic cube, Long Fei's entire body was firmly trapped by the lightning, unable to move at all. Moreover, the Sky Demon Cube was a massive array formation. He was frantically absorbing the energy from Long Fei's body. Ding! System notification. Fairy from Heaven Sword Art has disappeared. Ding! System notification. Illusion Berserk Slash has disappeared. Ding! System notification. 1,000,000 Grand Mist crystals have disappeared. Ding! System notification. The Underworld Thunder has disappeared. One after another, notifications began to ring like crazy. His cultivation technique was disappearing crazily in his cultivation technique column, completely out of his control. Not only that, the treasures within Long Fei's space ring were also disappearing crazily and were completely absorbed by the purple-robed elder. Furthermore, all of these things were directly transformed into energy within the Sky Magic Cube and were absorbed by the purple-robed elder. The spirit treasure within the space ring was trembling. The Nantion monument was trembling. The dragon soul fragment was trembling. The 72 space ring trembled. The Ming clan's mark was trembling. The underworld fire was trembling. Long Fei's fused power, the cultivation method she grasped, was being quickly stripped away, and he was unable to control it as he used it. Ha ha ha. Brat, this is the power of ancient inheritance. Do you understand? Ha ha ha. This is the power that you do not understand. Ha ha ha. It's all mine. Everything on you is mine. When the purple-robed elder absorbed the power in Long Fei's body, he became even more berserk. He did not expect Long Fei to have cultivated so many high-level techniques, as well as various powerful spirit treasures. Ding! System notification. The sun-killing arrow has disappeared. Ding! System notification. Absorbing skill has disappeared. The system beep continued to ring. Long Fei's heart was weeping blood. If he wanted to control them, it was like grabbing the water in his hands. He grabbed upwards with all his might, but all of them were lost, completely out of Long Fei's control. At the same time, the pain that Long Fei's entire body was in was indescribable. That kind of bone-shattering, that kind of body-tearing bit by bit, as if tens of thousands of cannibal fish were biting him. His cultivation technique was disappearing, his strength was disappearing, and his cultivation base was also disappearing. If this continued, Long Fei would be directly sucked to death. System. Damn you, don't you have any solution? Can there be a way? Damn you, you can't just watch me die. If I die, you will also disappear. Your designer shouldn't want to see me disappear, right? Long Fei had no other choice. All of his strength had been bound. Buzz. Just at that moment, the sky sword suddenly floated up. It started to collide with the space ring. Long Fei's heart tensed up. No, 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 no. The sky sword had accompanied him the moment he had transmigrated to the Zhenwu continent. It was about to fly out right now. Long Fei had promised her that he would save her. It was also at this time the Supreme Dragon Knife also floated up. Boom. They also started to crazily ram into the space ring, as if they couldn't control it either. The 72 space ring also floated up. The cultivation technique column had already been emptied. He no longer had any cultivation techniques. Long Fei did not care about the lack of cultivation methods, but He definitely could not lose them in the Sky Sword S. Otherwise, how could he save the Sky Sword spirit? Long Fei. Yurong was unable to attack the purple-robed old man, so she began to attack the Sky Magic Cube. A heavy blow. However, don't catapult away the moment she rushes over. Seeing Long Fei's painful expression, Yurong did not want to live. She was ready when she came. If Long Fei died, she would accompany him. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and power surged through him. Boom. The Supreme Dragon Knife flew out. Ding. System notification. The Supreme Dragon Knife has disappeared. F***CK. Long Fei gritted his teeth until it made a cracking sound. A huge amount of power surged into the purple-robed elder's body. The purple-robed elder's face was flushed red as he said excitedly, "Ha ha! The existence of super artifact S. There is actually such a soul treasure in your body. However, I'm not far from the power of the ancient inheritance." Ha ha ha! Boom. Ding. System notification. The Sky Sword has disappeared. F***CK. Hint my ass. Hint your system's maternal grandma. Long Fei watched as the Sky Sword uncontrollably flew out. In an instant, it transformed into a stream of energy that was absorbed by the purple-robed elder. The space ring also flew out one by one. He couldn't hold on any longer. Long Fei was unable to hold on. An elder from the gods' tribe was controlling the power of the ancient inheritance. The purple-robed elder was too strong. Moreover, when his cultivation reached the peak level of ancient inheritance, Long Fei's strength was not his opponent at all. Just as Long Fei was about to give up, the sky suddenly exploded. A fat man had shattered the Sky Magic Cube. The flames beneath his feet started to ignite the devilish intent that had grown in his heart into ashes. Puchi. Blood dripped from the corner of the human emperor's mouth. Heavily wounded. The consequences are serious. But if he didn't do this, the human emperor himself didn't dare guarantee that he would be able to resist the temptation. After all, he yearned for power too much. He truly desired the power of the powerful ancient inheritance, always being crushed, always being suppressed. He was really afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself. The purple-robed elder's eyes darkened, and the corner of his mouth curled into a sneer. He said, "You are so ruthless. You dared to use such a heavy attack on yourself. Demon intent has already formed in your mind. You know very well that you want this brat's strength." The human emperor said, "You are right. I did want it at the beginning, but now I don't think about it at all." The purple-robed elder said, "Human emperor, you don't need it. I want it." Shwa. The purple-robed elder suddenly charged forward. The human emperor's eyes grew sinister as he asked, "Do you think you can touch him?" The purple-robed elder said solemnly, "If you dare to stop me, the entire gods' tribe will not let you go." The human emperor coldly said, "You can't go back. How does God's tribe know about what is happening here?" The purple-robed elder said, "You want to kill me?" The human emperor said, "Your answer is correct. I want to kill you." Boom! With an explosive sound, the purple-robed old man, while the two of them were fighting, Yurong held Long Fei, looked at the incomparably weak Long Fei, and said gently, "No matter where you go, I will always accompany you. If you die, I will also die with you." While they were talking, Yurong heavily hugged and kissed Long Fei's pale lips. At this moment, a system announcement rang out in Long Fei's mind. Ding! Chapter 2678, Mysterious Strength of the System Reward. Chapter 2678, Mysterious Strength of the System Reward, a Heavy Kiss. Tears rolled down his pale face. Tears seeped into Long Fei's cheeks. The system sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the Super Quest 7 Meridians painting. Life and death accompanied. Ding! Congratulations player Long Fei for completing 1/7 of the quest. You have received the mystical power. Do you wish to fuse it? Ding! System notification. The mysterious power has been successfully fused. Without even needing Long Fei to give any orders, the system had already fused the mysterious ability into Long Fei's body. Very strange. At this time, even if Long Fei's mind was completely clear, he probably wouldn't be able to give out any orders. Just as the fusion of the system's reward of mysterious power was completed, a power that looked like the power of seals suddenly erupted from Long Fei's right arm. Roar! The dragon's roar shook. In that instant, bloody light filled the skies, enveloping the entire region. How big was a world? Covering dozens of planes around the borders of the universal realm. In an instant, the scorching sun turned blood red, the sky turned blood red, the yellow sand turned blood red, and a bloody mist enveloped the earth. The whole scene was just like the Scarlet Moon mode in the game. Blood purgatory. What is this? The purple-robed old man's body sank into the ground, and he flew tens of thousands of meters away. He looked at the blood mist and the blood-red sun, and his forehead tightened. He had never seen anything like this before. He had never felt such power before. The human emperor was the same. His eyes were also tightly creased. He knew that Long Fei's identity was special, but how special was it? What exactly was the reason behind him obtaining the power of the ancient inheritance? No one in the entire universal realm knew. Even the Emperor Xian didn't know. The only person who knew of this power was himself. Of course, this was something that he had learned during his first life in ancient world. Even the current Long Fei didn't know what kind of power this was. The human emperor said lightly, "What a dense qi! This power! I've never seen it before." It was strange. It was as if he was a chess piece within his aura. A chess piece that is not under his control. As long as the chess player idea moved, they would charge forward to kill it no matter what. Gudong, the purple-robed old man, swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He looked at the human emperor and said, "Human emperor, that boy's strength has been used to protect its master. Even after exploding, there is still a rush. How about this? You want the power on the right, and I want the power on the left. The two ancient inheritances are both peak-level ancient inheritances. What's the point in fighting them to the death? What's more, you are already heavily injured from slaying the devil will. If you continue to fight, you might not win against me." The purple-robed elder stared at the unconscious Long Fei. The greed in his heart was burning, completely dominated, especially when he saw such a powerful protective power erupt from Long Fei's body. He was unable to control it even more. The human emperor shouted, "Stop dreaming! This power doesn't belong to you, nor does it belong to me." Humph! The purple-robed elder's eyes turned vicious as he took out a magic tool from under his sleeve. "Shua! You stubborn pig, talking to you is a waste of my time." "You don't want it." "I want it." One sword to break through the void. Buzz! His entire body disappeared. In the blink of an eye, it also landed on top of Eyorong's head. With its 5 fingers, it grabbed towards Long Fei's head like a ghost and shouted, "Ancient inheritance, corruption. Drink it. Don't even think about touching half of his hair. Ancient inheritance." Human emperor's fire. Boom! A flame burst out from the human emperor's body. The flame rushed out and engulfed the purple-robed old man. The flame was like a blooming lotus flower. It was extremely powerful. However, the purple-robed old man curled his lips and sneered, "Heavenly escape armor." Hidden. His aura moved, and the vicious old man in purple suddenly disappeared. The human emperor's eyes narrowed as he cried out inwardly, "Crap!" The human emperor's fire missed. The air ruptured as the purple-robed elder appeared in front of the back of Long Fei's head from the other side. His eyes were filled with wild excitement. "Ha ha ha! Human emperor, you can't stop me." He made a grasping motion with his 5 fingers. Like 5 steel nails, they instantly grabbed onto Long Fei's head. He jabbed with his fingernail. Crack! All 5 fingers pierced into Long Fei's head. The purple-robed elder became even more excited. It's all mine. All of my power is mine. Ha ha ha! Drink it!" The purple-robed elder was as if he had been injected with chicken blood. He was now just a step away from obtaining the ancient inheritance on Long Fei's body, and only needed to absorb its power. He knew the power of the ancient inheritance in Long Fei's body was extremely strong. Thus, this time, he used all his strength to release his strongest power and sucked out Long Fei's ancient inheritance in the shortest amount of time. Yorong's eyes did not move, as if he was dead. After she embraced and kissed him, Long Fei's body slowly became ice cold. She knew Long Fei was dead. She didn't want to live anymore either. When the human emperor saw the purple-robed elder stab his finger into Long Fei's head, his eyes turned sinister. "Be careful!" "Ha ha! Too late! Too late!" The purple-robed old man laughed crazily. His dried-up hands started to move. Wave after wave of powerful energy frantically rushed out and entered Long Fei's body. And then, in this instant, the power of the purple-robed elder seemed to have taken root within Long Fei's body. Then, with a violent suction, everything in Long Fei's body began to shake. "Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Mine! Mine!" As the power began to circulate, the purple-robed elder could already feel it. At this time, no one could stop him. If he was interrupted, Long Fei's death would be even more tragic. At this time, all the human emperor could do was stand there and watch. This feeling was even worse than killing him. The fat on his body, which weighed more than 400 jin, trembled. The human emperor's chi even caused the top of his head to emit smoke. But just as the purple-robed elder was about to absorb the ancient inheritance's energy from Long Fei's body, the originally still or dead Long Fei's eyes suddenly snapped open. Buzz. A flash of light. The pupils of his eyes abruptly changed as the blood vessels slowly condensed within them. It turned into a bloody pupil. At this moment, a frown appeared on his forehead, and his eyes narrowed. "Absorb my power? Your King tired of living." Boom. At this moment, the purple-robed old man's pupils contracted. His body began to rapidly tremble, and he couldn't stop trembling. He wanted to pull out his palm, but he discovered that he was firmly sucked in. It was clearly him trying to absorb Long Fei's power. But now turn it all over. The power from the purple-robed elder's body began to be crazily sucked into Long Fei's body, including the techniques he had taken away from Long Fei earlier, the energy that the holy artifact had transformed into. "If you dare kill me, God's tribe will not let you go. Master Emperor Xian will not let you go." Long Fei revealed a look of disdain. "What is a God's tribe? Emperor Xian is that pussy again." When Laozi ran rampant in ancient times, he was still not born in his mother's womb. The aura on his body was overwhelming. The purple-robed old man's spirit was starting to crack, and his consciousness was unable to take it anymore. He said, "Killing me is making the entire God's tribe your enemy. Brat, you have to think carefully about the consequences if you dare to kill me Anyone who is related to you will die. This plane will die. And that devil realm of yours will die too. Your dragon race will also die. Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei's eyes moved. He raised his right leg, and with a powerful kick, he pushed the purple-robed elder down to the ground. Bam! The violet-robed old man coughed up a mouthful of blood. Long Fei's right hand moved as he held onto a few strands of the purple-robed elder's white hair and coldly said, "You F***king threaten me. Your father?" Zhang Xian exerted all of the strength in his body. Boom, 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 boom. The power in the purple-robed elder's body became even more ferocious as it frantically sucked away the power from his body. His expression changed. "No, no, no, my ancient inheritance's power. No, no. Lord, I beg of you, please don't. No, don't absorb the power of my ancient inheritance. No." Boom. The purple-robed elder had truly turned into a dried-up corpse. Moreover, in this instant, with a tug of Long Fei's strength, the purple-robed old man's head was snapped off. With a stomp of his foot, the old man's head crumbled and said sinisterly, "This is the result of threatening me." In Long Fei's mind, the system sounded out. However, Long Fei didn't care about it. Instead, he raised his eyes slightly, stared straight at the human emperor in the distance, and said coldly, "Another strand of the ancient inheritance's power. Another piece of trash. I really wonder why ancient world nurtured and gave birth to such a power." The human emperor's gaze tensed up, and he immediately replied, "Long Fei." "Oh, you even know my name?" Long Fei looked at the human emperor and said, "Since you know my name, then you are either my little brother or my enemy." "That's not right. My enemies have all been killed by me. Are you my little brother?" "That's not right. Every single one of my brothers are 10,000 times stronger than you. You don't even have the qualifications to be my little brother. How could I have a damn fatty like you?" "Right. Where is my heaven pillar?" "What about the 8 heaven pillar?" Long Fei swept a glance across the place and discovered that this world was a little strange. The human emperor didn't understand a single word that Long Fei said. "Little brother, what heaven pillar, or 8 of them?" He had never seen it before. However, the human emperor said anxiously, "Long Fei, wake up. Don't let this power control you. Without waiting for the human emperor to finish speaking, Long Fei glared at him again. Boom. The human emperor retreated back for tens of thousands of meters as a blood skeleton appeared in his chest. They couldn't even withstand a single glance from Long Fei. The human emperor crawled up from the ground and said, "Long Fei, wake up a bit. You are Long Fei, the son of Long Zhanting, and her. Don't let anyone control your mind." "Damn fatty, are you courting death?" Long Fei's figure moved. He landed right in front of the human emperor and said coldly, "I am an ancient evolution without a mother or father. How can my parents be them?" "Humph, you look tired of living." Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, arrogant, domineering. Table of contents. In his eyes, everything was trash. Any words that displeased him, he would kill. It was also at this time. Yurong shouted loudly, "Long Fei!" Long Fei turned his head slightly to look at Yurong, and his gaze tensed up. "What's wrong? Do you want to stop me?" The idea moved. Boom. The blood-red power within his body exploded forth. The human emperor was floating, and Yurong was also floating. He was being covered by the blood-red energy, and the moment moved, they would be turned to powder. Ha ha! No one can stop me from doing what I want to do. It doesn't matter if it's the heavens or the earth. Don't even think of stopping me by half a step. Long Fei said, arrogantly. However, the act was not finished. Long Fei's eyes darkened as he stared at the Nantian monument floating above his head. He muttered, "Damned repression of boundary stones." Chapter 2680, Suppression. Chapter 2680, Suppression. Damn it! You follow me wherever I go. Do you think I owe you something in my lifetime? Long Fei's bloodshot eyes looked up into the sky where the Nantian monument was quietly floating. He didn't move at all. However, at this time, Long Fei did not dare to move. He knows what the power of the Nantian monument is. To him, this broken rock was like a knife hanging over his head. If he randomly moved it, the knife would fall. As the blade fell, the head was severed. Long Fei was fearless, but he had to restrain himself a little before the Nantian monument. "Hey, brother, I'm not moving. You're not moving. Say, why do you always follow me? Do I owe you money?" Long Fei squinted and ridiculed. He looked at the human emperor, his eyes still filled with contempt. He did not want to waste words with anyone. He also didn't want anyone to talk nonsense with him. The thing that annoyed him was very simple. Directly exterminate. Who is the human emperor? I don't know. However, the human emperor knew his name. If the person who knew his name wasn't his little brother, then he might as well go die. The reason was simple. He never needed a reason to kill. The Nantian monument floated in the air motionlessly. Long Fei continued to speak. "How many years have you suppressed me? Aren't you tired? How about this? I'll put you on top of the ancient sacred mountain, where you can absorb the ancient era's essence, and you can train from a piece of rock to a person. Don't bother me, okay?" Long Fei continued. The Nantian monument still did not move. It was as if he was a person looking at him silently without saying anything. "If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Then it's settled. Don't stop me. Finished." Long Fei looked at the human emperor again, and out of the corner of his eyes, he also looked at Yi Yorong. In an instant, the two of them were lifted up by a powerful force. The corner of Long Fei's mouth hooked up, and he said, "Ha ha," not waiting for his aura to explode. The Nantian monument disappeared into the air. However, Long Fei's eyes tightened as he scolded heavily, "Your sister! Rumble! Rumble! Rumble!" Bang! With a loud noise, the sky split apart, and a ray of light shot down from the sky. At the same time, that piece of Nantian monument also descended, not giving Long Fei any time to react. Moreover, the instant the Nantian monument disappeared, Long Fei knew that something bad was about to happen. Even from the moment the Nantian monument appeared, Long Fei knew that this guy would definitely not let him off easily. Universal boundary. In the countless dimensions of the ancient world, this broken stone was Long Fei's only nemesis. Fuck your ancestors. Long Fei raised his middle finger towards the sky. The Nantian monument suppressed down and directly smashed onto the top of his head. Buzz. Rumble. Long Fei's body sank. The ground within a radius of 1,000 kilometers caved in, causing sand and sand to fly everywhere. It was as if the world had come to an end. The Nantian monument landed heavily on Long Fei's back. Just from its appearance alone, Long Fei looked like the legendary BB. However, it would be too embarrassing if she just wanted to compare it with Long Fei. F***CK. I haven't even been on stage for 10 minutes. It's not fun at all. The bloodshot look in Long Fei's eyes disappeared bit by bit as he muttered to the Nantian monument on his back, "Just you wait. There will be a day when I smash you into pieces. Just you wait. Father." Boom. As Long Fei spoke, the power on the Nantian monument exploded once again. It was as though he was enraged. Long Fei's body sunk down once again. He was really unable to get up and his entire body was buried in the mud. The blood veins in his eyes had completely disappeared. At this time, the human emperor and Eorong flew over from the sky. Eorong did not care about all that. She did not care who Long Fei was, nor did she care who the terrifying person was in Long Fei's body. She only knew that he was Long Fei. That's all you need to know. She quickly ran up and picked Long Fei up, hugged him tightly against her chest, and looked at his pale face. Long Fei, don't die. Don't die. Please don't die. We don't have a bridal ceremony yet, and I haven't even become your wife. Please don't die, okay? Can you not leave me behind? Please, don't die. Eorong's tears could not be stopped. She had not accompanied Long Fei properly throughout the entire journey, and she was now filled with regret. She regretted every one of her decisions back then. She regretted not accompanying Long Fei properly. The human emperor stood at the side. His eyes stared blankly. His heart was in turmoil, and he was extremely shocked. He knew from the very beginning that Long Fei was not simple. He was regarded as the last hope of the dragon race. The crystals of Longshanting and Mu Wanner. Furthermore, he channeled a surge of power into his body. No one knew what this power was. However, 100 years ago, the dragon clan's hope had been shattered, was suppressed by the Emperor Xian. With the help of the Emperor Xian, who could still live, everyone thought that he had died, including the Emperor Xian himself. But now, just now, the ancient inheritance's presbyter of God's tribe was instantly killed and turned into a dried-up corpse. He also felt the power, irreversible, compared to his power. The human emperor felt that he was the sky while he himself was just a small ant. This was the feeling of such a huge difference. But what was the power that erupted from Long Fei's body just now? He didn't know at all. He had never seen such power before. Could the Emperor Xian do it?